Yes.
Já, við erum velkomin í Close Friends episode 27 og rétt áður við byrjum þáttin almennilega þá ætlum við að taka fram að þessi þáttur verður á ensku að því við erum með enskan viðmælanda og ensku mælandi viðmælanda eitthvað fleira, Alex?
Nei, hann já, ég held að við skulum bara leyfa honum að kynna sig sjálfur. Við erum með Matt Laycock in the studio. Welcome, Matt.
Matt who?
Matt Laycock.
Yeah, so
is that your full name?
Was Matt Laycock. So yeah, I'm here. I guess.
In the building, that's what's up.
Is that's your full name? There's no middle name there, Matt.
There's a Cray in there.
There is. Matt. Is it Matthew Cray Laycock?
Bang on.
Wow.
Yeah, that was seductive. It was like no one speaks to me like that.
You know me.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yes, welcome to
Close
the podcast.
Friends.
Boys.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us your time.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Right, you're here working, shooting a project for a friend and a business partner of yours, and you've decided to give us a couple hours out of your busy day when you're doing work here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the least I can do for you boys.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it. So, to start off the podcast, I of course know you pretty well at this point. We've had some good times together, been through a trip, and yeah, we've gotten to know each other really well, I think. That's fair to say. So I know what I want you to share here. So I'm just gonna I guess I'll drive the truck today, okay? Because I don't think these boys, I think I've shared with them some stuff that we've talked about, but I think it'll be great for all the listeners to hear what you've spent your time doing in the past and your story.
Yeah, I did tell you that I don't go on podcasts.
Yeah, you're not
telling my story, and I feel like you're about to stitch me up.
No. Like whatever you feel comfortable sharing, you're like, or not comfortable, like we will not press you a lot to overshare here. But I want to start way back. All right, I want to start in the beginning. You're from Australia. You were born and raised there, yeah?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And
we're in Australia.
Well, I grew up in like a small town called Newcastle. It's like a beach town. It's like, I mean, when I say small, maybe it's not the same as saying small in Iceland, but it was like a small city. Like you guys have Reykjavik, we have Newcastle. It's like on the coast. Yeah, it was a different journey for sure than what you guys used to.
Do you live far away from the Newcastle now?
Yeah, I live I've been jumping around. Like I was in Bali for a few years there, and then I lived in Byron for 3 years, and then only a year ago I moved to Currumbin Valley, which is like South Gold Coast, which means nothing to anyone listening.
Yeah. So it's a mountain, and you live on top of the mountain in kind of a, like, what do you call it, cottage?
We're on top of a mountain looking over the city, kangaroos everywhere. It's like when someone says Australia, I reckon they're thinking of my house.
Yeah, and some venomous animals.
Before we get more into your past, maybe a sort of overview for the listeners that don't know. Who is Matt Laycock? What do you do? What are your titles? Throw your titles out here. How do you define yourself?
Yeah, that's always a hard question.
Yeah, but just think of it as a light oversight, just so people get what you're about.
I mean, I think my whole life has been around just trying to chase human experience. And I think that when we think about human experience, it comes in so many different forms, but I just try and squeeze every modality and aspect of human experience into my life, you know? And that's like health, wealth, success, relationships, communication, purpose, spirituality. And I think like that all changes throughout time.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I skydive, make content. I run like some businesses, and yeah, I do so many things, but yeah, I run like a men's retreat as well.
Right, we're gonna dive into that later. I think our listeners will really appreciate what you get up to there.
Yeah, and I think like I've engineered my life so that all of the businesses and things that I do don't require me to be there unless I want to be there. So I feel like my whole life has been, how do I create something that's like meaningful and like a passion project for me, but then how do I also give that to all my homies so that they're a part of it and that it grows like together with like my whole circle as well. So I feel like I have the freedom, whereas most people in my situation that are doing so many things probably wouldn't have the freedom, you know? They would be just like head into a computer all day.
Yeah.
You should swallow the mic. Yeah, well done. Yeah. I just got a text.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was. Was the sound not good enough?
Jamie's. No.
Okay, I can hear it cutting out. Let's go here.
But can you hear him just?
Yeah, I can hear him fine.
Oh, okay.
But my headphones, I think, dialed up because I can hear myself like way too much.
Yeah, you can.
I can tune down a little bit.
Yeah,
but yeah.
give me a.
You know how to swallow the
turn
mic.
the headphones down, not the mics.
Jesus, so many buttons. The headphones.
The headphones are like with the headphone logo up there.
Oh wow, thank you. Thanks, David.
I know it's complicated.
Oh wait, hey, whoa! Like, let's get it back up there, boys. I can barely hear myself now.
Okay.
There we go. That's better. That's better.
Okay,
That's
I
better.
don't know if I can.
Well
I
done.
can't really hear myself at all, but
You can?
no.
Turn this up as well.
How about now?
Blah, 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 blah. Nah, not really. Actually,
Maybe his headphones need to be up.
muted.
Okay, you don't really need the headphones. Just keep the mic close.
You'll be
Alright,
fine.
Copy that.
Mhm.
Anyways, okay, yeah. So
You were talking about how busy and successful people usually come out as like these super busy, super stressed out, with not time for any connections, relationships, and just like working, grinding every day. And
sounds
not really-
familiar, David. Sounds familiar.
I think that was a blow at me. I think.
David's a busy guy. He works really hard and he's really successful. So yeah, shots fired, man. Shots fired.
Yeah, but definitely, like I think when you're growing something, there's definitely periods where things are more busy, and as they get along, they can get less busy, and you can just kind of like set them off as like a little ship that can go and sail by itself. But I think for everything, if you want to make something great, you always have to put in like a certain amount of work at the beginning and at the start just to get it going, and then in like afterwards you can like reap the rewards and with everything that comes with that.
For sure. Can you mention some of your businesses that you've been through how do you say it? That you've managed these couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I started with a clothing brand.
Yeah.
Pretty much like I feel like, and I'm not going to crown myself as this, but like I was pretty early into the game of influencer marketing,
Right.
In that space when I had this mission. I wanted to climb Everest with a paraplegic and I needed to raise all this money. So I made this campaign called 700 People, One Dream.
Right.
And basically I tried to get 700 ambassadors, which at the time, like you didn't pay for that stuff. You just gave people packages of clothes and stuff. And actually they paid to become a part of like an ambassador because it was such a new concept.
Yeah. And it was catching on.
And it caught on, and we did that and made the clothes and made the movement in the community. And then I moved into film and had like a creation business. And
Sorry, man, you just gave over a big segment there that is like, I don't know if people who are listening really caught on to that, but he said he wanted to climb and did climb Everest with a paraplegic, if I'm saying this correctly. I guess
we just really glossed over that.
Yeah,
like,
it was such a casual, short way of saying it. But let's dive into that. For me, when we got to know each other, that was one of the stories that really like caught me, because it's a very unique story. I don't feel like a lot of people in the world can say, oh yeah, I did this thing, no big deal though, which is the way you said that story. And then I was like, wait, what? You did what? And then you gave me the full story, and I was just like absolutely like shocked, obviously, because like it's a hell of a thing to take on, you know, just going up to, like, how do you say it? Going up to that mountain and going on to Everest Base Camp is a feat in itself. But you decided to take a different approach and make it even more challenging for a great cause and to send a message, or what? Can you please give us the full story, Matt?
Oh, he's doing it already. He's getting in there. I knew it. Yeah. I mean, to tell that story properly, it needs context, you know, and I think that there was a level of myself trying to get through a hard time in that, and then there's also a level of like what my values were, you know. And I think that it all started pretty young for me when I went through like a traumatic experience, you know, and then I had to wear this like avatar, this face throughout high school and stuff, which was cool, like, you know, and I did that, and I feel like a lot of people in society do that. But at the same time, I was like compartmentalizing that. I was being this other person who had this Facebook page, which was kind of around mental health and adversity, like going through hard times. And we were doing blog posts on basically like what tools and techniques you were using to overcome adversity and what adversity you were, and like highlighting people's stories like Olympic athletes and
right. So at the time that you're having a rough time at school, you also have this Facebook page that you're posting to. Is that my understanding correctly?
And it was like super secret.
Right. So you're putting on this hard exterior at school where you're not really expressing feelings or like these type of things, and then you have this Facebook page which you're anonymously sort of managing, where you're talking about mental health and all these things which are completely opposite of what the exterior that you were expressing in your school, right?
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
Yeah. So I didn't really want anyone to know that because I was like the cool kid, you know, like because I moved out of home so early as well, and I had like my own space kind of thing, and I was like more free than other people with like no parents around me. Right. So I just was like, you know, it was more comfortable to play the cool kid, and like, you know, we're just dopamine monkeys at our core, so it made a lot of sense to do that. And then basically when I left school, like I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna own the fact that I do this. And it actually all stemmed from the fact that I had this long-term relationship of like 5 years, and when I was with that girl, you know, I guess she was band-aiding like the stuff I was going through when I was a kid. Right. So when we ended up breaking up, it was like ripping the band-aid off like what I was going through as well. And that kind of poured everything out. And I guess I just should say, like, I found my dad dead when I was 14, and that's what I was dealing with, you know? Right. So then ripping the band-aid
off. Which is
a
hell of a thing to go through as a young man.
Yeah, I think like as a man, there's a rites of passage that you got to go through, and a lot of the time we need masculine around us to guide us in that way, you know? Right. So I didn't have that, so I was like searching in different places for that. Right. And I guess one of the ways of being a healthy aspect of my life was doing this Facebook page thing. So when I broke up with her...
Was that your way of coping with the loss of your dad?
Yeah, I think that and many other things. You know, I was punching on a lot.
Yeah, yeah, you were big into boxing at that time as well, right?
Yeah. I was fighting.
You were making yourself a freaking weapon.
Yeah, I mean, the gym like saved me, man. Like, and that's where the athleticism came from. You know, I was like 108 kilos by the time I did Everest. I was jacked. Man.
Yeah.
I think I've seen the photos of you back then. Those like the sickest photos I've ever seen.
Dude, when I got to know him, he was like fucking fit, and then he like showed me this old video of him. He was even more jacked. I was like, how the fuck does that even work? You know what I mean? Sorry, continue, Matt.
Yeah. I mean, I was too jacked. Sick is a good word, man. It was
yeah. It's just like you look like when you, and also it was natural, which I think is the most impressive thing, because like guys can lift like and not really like go hard and still like get these amazing physiques with steroids, but like you did it completely natural, which is like
you look like a fucking gladiator,
dude. Yeah, you look wild.
Crazy.
Well, but man, I was jabbing pain. You know, like I was working through the emotions. You know, like. You know when like you go through a shit time or like you have a breakup or whatever, which is relative to most people, like it hits you in different ways. We were talking about this earlier, and it's like you do things that are so rational, and you have this energy that comes from like nowhere, like better than any pre-workout that you can have, you know? So
exactly.
It's like, I had that like times a lot.
Right.
Yeah. So, and my coping mechanism was just absolutely bashing my body and bashing myself until I just was so exhausted from training and being awake, like that I just passed out finally, you know?
Yeah.
Which is pretty dark, but like, yeah, I mean, that's the story of most people that do cool feats, you know?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of pain that stems from success, I think, often.
For sure. Yeah. So pretty much one day I was just going through this stuff that I had from my girlfriend, like throwing it out. And I found this bucket list, and on the bucket list, one of the items was spend a year of my life giving all my time, resources and money to someone else's life goal. And, you know, selfishly, I was like, okay, like I can't wait till I'm 50 to do that, because, you know, like I will probably have a fair bit of assets behind me and like a lot of resources and more responsibilities, you know. I'm like 18 right now. I'm a wreck, like got nothing I really want to live for, broken up with my girlfriend, like don't have a family unit, you know, at this time. And I mean, I don't want to shit on my mom. She's an amazing person and we're really close now, but like we didn't have that relationship back then for sure.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I just kind of was like, you know, I got to do that now. And that's when I turned this Facebook page into a brand. Because what I would do is I would go out and share people's stories. So if you for example, had, I don't know, like lost your legs or had been a rape victim or something that like just seriously slows you down in life and forces you to pivot.
Yeah.
And you had then achieved something amazing, we would share that story. And it started with just a blog post.
And it would be like, a blog post as a Facebook post, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It started with that, and then it moved to like making little videos.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it was not a production. It was just like
an
18-year-old having a crack kind of thing.
Right.
And so I started doing that, and then I met this guy, Scotty, who was in a wheelchair, and I met through a mutual friend. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna meet my friend." And when I met Scott, I just instantly felt that like brotherhood, like the camaraderie, the banter and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, like in the subconscious, in the back of my mind, I was like, I want to do this year of my life, someone else's goal kind of thing. And then it just felt right. I was like, yeah, it's him. So then pretty much we just were hanging out a bunch, and I was trying to get to know like what made him tick and what made him.
You became friends.
Yeah. And like secretly I was trying to figure out like, okay, like what drives you? What do you want in life? Like, what do you want to achieve? What's your crazy goal? Because, everyone's got that. And then, the more I figured it out, his life goal was to inspire people with disabilities and not allow his adversity to define him. So then, skipping a long story short, I just...
No, your pace is fine. Your pace is fine.
Yeah, skipping a long story short, I came up with this idea of Everest to summit originally, and then basically figured out that would be a death wish. So, that stage, I gave it a good thought, but I had some sensible people around me that were like, man, like you're just going to kill someone. Like, that's not cool.
Right.
So, then pretty much I came up with the idea of base camp, and then that was pretty much impossible as well. There's no one that had ever done it before, and there was so many hurdles.
That's shocking. Why? Like, no one had done that, That's crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm being sarcastic. That's absolutely normal that no one would ever do that because it's a ridiculous thing to...
Well, it was actually a lot of reasons why they hadn't done it. Like the Nepalese government actually made it illegal unless you're able-bodied to start climbing that mountain.
Right. That makes sense. That's logical for sure.
Yeah, and there was like, heaps of things to overcome. But, I was just a frothing 18-year-old. I feel like when you're that young and that age, your aspirations and like dream is so high.
Yeah.
And then slowly the world just bashes you and you just knock back down. And you're like, I'm down here now.
Yeah.
But that's the power of being 18, man. It's just like, you run at the world, man. So I pretty much was like, no, I don't want to let people tell me what I can't do. Like, I'm going to figure out how this is possible. So then I had a list of like, oh man, must have been like 500 things that I'd have to overcome. And when I mean like 500 things, I mean 500 things. And like one of the things would be, for example, there is 500,000 stairs that has to be stepped to get there. How am I going to do that? And then altitude, how am I going to do that? Like, how am I going to feel the sensation of his feet to know that he's not freezing and got hypothermia and losing a toe because he's numb there?
Right.
How are we going to engineer a wheelchair that can work in that environment? How will it not freeze? Like, how are we going to bind him into that? So many things to overcome. And then also like, how are we just going to make it legal and possible for the Nepalese government?
Right, let the government give you permission, essentially.
Yeah, so it was a long journey, and there was so many lessons in that project that really like made me understand life.
Right.
But I guess one of the crazy things was when I went out and basically vocalized that I was doing this, like every single one of my friends and everyone in my community just talked so much shit about me. They were just like, like they would be going out on a night out with all the boys, like to a nightclub or whatever. And they'd be like, oh bro, like gonna summit Mount Everest tonight. Like, like really taking the piss out of me. And when you're 18, also you're vulnerable. You're like, you're trying to figure out where you sit in the world.
Yeah, your ego's like sort of very sensitive, I guess.
Yeah, it's like trying to touch the water and be like, where do I belong? So like that affected me in a bit. But because I had gone through so much, I had this like strong tailbone of like, you know what? If someone does me wrong or if someone like insults me, it's just you're brewing a demon in here. And he is an animal. And he will do anything to prove you wrong. Right. So there was a lot of that in there.
Yeah. But David, do you relate to that?
Definitely like wanting to like, I guess it's just fuel on the fire when someone doubts you.
Right. Because I feel like you have some similarities towards that thing for sure.
Yeah, like there's no better motivation than someone telling you that you can't do something.
Yeah,
100%.
Like then you want nothing more. You will not sleep. You will not like eat until you just get that done.
100%.
Yeah. So for people that are listening and watching, like climbing Mount Everest with a paraplegic, what is a paraplegic? And how did you climb up with him? Like, what did that look like?
Yeah, so a paraplegic is just someone that can't use their legs. Some paraplegics are amputated with their legs, and others still have them there, but they just don't work. So he had a motorbike accident and then basically lost the use of his legs.
That's what happened. That was Sheesh.
But
terrible.
When I met him, he was jacked, man. Like he was a big boy.
So he was pretty much like you. He was maybe because of the accident, and the trauma that causes. He was probably also like trying to get through it with the gym, right?
I mean, he skips leg day a little bit more than me, but yeah.
We're gonna have to cut that out.
He loves it.
That's
if
good.
he was here, he'd be all over it.
Good.
Camaraderie, bro.
So you had him. So you had him on your back at times, and you were like carrying his legs at times. That's the way that you essentially.
Well, we trained for ages, and the story of him like accepting the mission is a funny one too, because he said no at the start, and then he came around. But yeah, like he's a weapon, man. Like he did just as much training as me, and it was just as grueling for him. You know, like we basically trained for him to walk on his hands. So my brain would be him walking on his hands, and then like when you're in school, like I don't know if Icelanders do this, but when you grab your homie's legs and he's like runs with his hands real fast, and you like race each other.
Yeah, we call it hjólpurur.
Like wheelbarrow walking.
Yeah. Well, we pretty much did that up Everest for a section of the climb as well.
Oh my god.
Oh really?
Yeah. So he wheelbarrowed like any sections that were really technical or like dangerous, like then he would pretty much wheelbarrow, or like if it's a really narrow path, like even the final stint to actually the rock, he would wheelbarrow, like because that way he's leading. And it was really technical for me too, because I'm behind him, and like we're talking like weird boulders, and like it's not just like a path. He's walking on his hands, and when you wheelbarrow, you can't see what's in front of you. So I'm like trying to hope that I can see the gap between his legs of where like the footing is. And
was he wearing gloves or anything to protect his hands, or?
Yeah, we went through like 15 pairs of gloves.
Shit.
Like proper gardeners, like steel workers gloves.
Jesus. For maybe the people to get a visual of this, do you think can we pull up a video of this right now? I think there's.
We'll just pull it up in the edit, but.
Right. Okay, let's just we'll put up a visual along with this conversation.
Or you guys can show us.
Huh?
Or you guys can show us the wheelbarrow.
Yeah, I mean I think there's a video on YouTube which sort of shows it. If you guys haven't seen it, you should definitely pull it up so you also can see it, and then the audience can see it when we play it during.
Did you film it all?
Yeah. There's a documentary coming out.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Where?
I can just say on a large streaming network.
Nice.
Oh shit! Here's a photo.
Yeah. That's the one.
Oh.
Dude, look how jacked you are.
Let me see. Is that when you were like 108 kilos?
Nah, that was before that. That was early train days. Yeah, we trained for a year and a bit.
It's so funny that he's climbing.
Dude, and he is also super jacked.
I was so jacked, man.
Dude, if I was walking Everest and like I would meet you guys, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? I would be so discouraged.
Right.
I'll be walking just normally with my gear and everything.
You'd be like,
And then there's this guy doing fucking push-ups.
That's a good point. Like, what were people like? The people that passed you, what were they like? What did they interact with you? Did they give you like bombastic side eyes or?
Man, I don't mean to be real deep on the body the whole time, but like that was the most beautiful thing because we had grown this like cult of followers at this time. Like we really blew up online.
Yeah. You became viral through this on social, and you just like grew this huge
we went
following.
All over the news. Like we were everywhere. Like
obviously, this is a crazy story. No one would ever do this. This is wild, right?
Yeah. Like to the point where people actually had flown there to hope to climb at the same time that we were doing this.
Wow.
So we had people like, no joke, man. Like we're going through the wars, like, a few days in, like 9-10 days in, like even 8 days in, like we are wrecked, man. Like altitude sickness. Also, you're not supposed to be that big on Everest. Like, the more muscle you have, the more oxygen you need. Yeah. Like we did acclimatization, like we trained like 4 times a day. We did the whole like hemoglobin stuff, but like people is what made us get through, to be honest. Like we would have people just bawling their eyes out walking past us, or people just like I got goosebumps right now thinking about it. Literally, like they would be like, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. And we'd be like, oi, oi, oi. And then like other people would just like be crying and just grab us and just be like, you are an incredible inspiration. Like without even being able to hold their words together. And you know, when you're in like a rough time, like you're more vulnerable, like when you're going through the wars, like that shit hits, man.
Yeah. You were going through a very emotional and physical experience, and these people were giving you support, and like it almost, it hits different.
Breaking down in front of you. And everything. Was that motivating, or did it was it harder experiencing that?
Nah, that was fuel, like, because we knew we had such a big response, and like we had so many people behind us. Like we, at this stage, by the time we were there, like we weren't doing it for us, you know, we were doing it for like the whole world. And we had spent months going to talk to like schools beforehand, and like going doing presentations, and like
that's a lot of pressure. Matt, did you ever think, what if we fail? Like was that ever in your mind at the time?
I'm just like the most stubborn person. I just don't.
You never doubted yourself.
I mean, like, I would have died before I gave up.
Dude, that's so wild.
To be honest, like,
so
and
wild.
There's a part of me that was responsible for Scott. So, like, I would have given up if he really wanted. But I feel like when you train with someone, like, seriously train, not just like go to CrossFit together. Like, when you train, like, I'm ready to take on war with you.
Right.
You get to know each other's boundaries. And I think you're like, okay, like, when someone quits, like, they're probably at 60%. And, like, I could push you to 80, 90.
Right.
But there's a fine line there. You push someone too hard and like, you know,
they break.
So like we really were teetering on the edges of that. Like we would go into the Blue Mountains, which is like a crazy part of Australia, and do like 20 Ks, like him on his hands, him on my back, like walking through, like to the point where our body would ache for weeks on end, and we would just keep pushing and just be like, sweet, it aches, but it's going to be worse. Like
Jesus.
Because you know, when you train, you're trying to simulate something that's more gnarly.
Right.
So we would wear these like oxygen restriction masks where like you can't even breathe.
Jesus.
And then keep training. But I wouldn't have quit. I mean, Scotty tried to quit a few times because like it was hard for him, man. And like he was the center of attention.
Obviously, he's fucking doing it on his arms.
Yeah, for sure.
It's free. It just doesn't make sense.
And he had such an incredible journey. Like, to be honest, when I met him, like he didn't have self-belief in himself. Like he didn't believe in himself at all. And he had a hard time valuing himself. And because I guess, was trying to find my value too, me giving him the love of being like, yo, bro, you're here, man. Like, seriously, you are like a hero. Like,
an inspiration.
That also helped me value myself, you know?
Right.
But yeah, he definitely was a bit up and down, because also something really interesting is when you go through a major adversity, something so life-changing like losing the ability to walk, that changes the whole direction of your life. So it's like when you lose the ability to walk, from a psychological point of view, you get stuck at that trauma age until you refigure out your identity, how to walk, how to talk, how to roll, like how your character is. Like normally when we hit, 17, which is when he had his accident, you're really just trying to figure out where you fit in the world. And you're just like, it's a constant growth thing. But when you go back to like, okay, now I need to figure out how I can just be and exist again. Like, how am I going to do, like, how am I going to wipe my ass, go to the toilet? How am I going to cook food? How am I going to do this? You spend a bunch of years and you get stuck there. So that's super hard.
Yeah.
Like, you can't mature as fast. And then there's just all these identity issues. So I think, like, it made sense why he would just always think his boundaries were so low.
Right. And
that was one of the biggest hurdles to overcome. Like, to the point where when we started training, like, we would be going across a path, and we would need to drop off a ledge, like, this big, like tiny. And like, you can do that in the wheelchair. Like, we just roll you off it. Like, I'll be behind you. But there's a lot of issues around him just like trusting and like giving and surrendering to control, because that's a big issue with the identity of like, oh, now I'm not in control and I have to rely on this person, and that doesn't feel good and all this kind of stuff. So it took like months and months before we could be a team,
Right.
But yeah.
And what was it like when you guys finally got through everything? You got on top there and got to the base camp. What was the feeling like? Were you too exhausted to enjoy the moment, or what was it? What was it like?
Yeah. Well, we woke up super early that morning to just go for the final kind of stint.
Did you know you were going to finish that day?
Yeah, we knew, like, because we kind of had planned it out, and then we had acclimatization days and stuff like that. And I got sick on day 4. I was like vomiting blood and like shitting blood and coughing. And
Nice.
So wild.
Yeah.
Sorry, for just for people's understanding, how far is this? How far of a hike is this?
Oh, you testing my data now. I haven't even spoken about this for a while, but I think it's like 170 Ks,
170 kilometers.
And it's about 18,000 feet in elevation.
18,000 feet.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I think David's looking it up.
Yeah, pull up the real data.
So the height of it is 17,600 feet, which is 5,380 meters, 5.4 kilometers.
Right.
Which is twice the height of the highest peak in Iceland.
Right. But what's the length?
The length.
The length of the trail.
Yeah. Dude, 5 kilometers up? What the fuck? Yeah. That is so wild.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's around 170, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so...
So the standard base camp trek is 130K round trip, which is divided into 12 days.
Yeah, so we did it in 10, but we also did some acclimatization days, like where we went up, down, because we were carrying so much mass.
Right.
And we got like seriously ill. But yeah, like carrying a human on your back, and he weighed like 80 kilos, like with a lack of oxygen on a mountain, like, you know, vomiting and shitting yourself. Like it's not awesome.
Shitting blood.
Yeah.
And you also had to take care of him, right?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, like I feel like that was a glimpse into being like a parent, you know, like I was fully like just left my own needs and was just there for him. And there's something honorable in that, like that made me feel amazing, you know, but
it was amazing.
It was phenomenal, man. It was just like, I feel as men, especially, you know, like we get so much back from serving, and it takes a while to figure that out. And I think we go through like a lot of different life stages. Then you realize like once you're a part of some kind of community or a part of a life or an impact in some way, that's when you start to be like feeling content with you living life. And a lot of people just get that from parenthood, but then other people get that from other places as well.
But yeah, so you get to the top.
Yeah. It was, it was a crazy one. That last little leg. Day 8, I don't even know if I'm supposed to tell you this because like it's kind of ruining the film, and I don't know like if the producer's going to go skits at me, but
we'll not make a TikTok out of it.
Yeah,
I'll promise you.
Yeah, no. Like day 8, there was a big curveball. I'll just say that something happened with the wheelchair, and it made things extraordinarily more hard. And at that stage, Scotty tried to quit. Like really tried to quit.
Yeah.
He was sick, man. Like he had a crazy cough and an infection in his throat as well. And
Jesus.
Like, he was ill. And like, to be fair, man, poor bastard. Like he was next to me, puking my guts up and shitting myself like the whole time, you know, like, and then I'm like, you can do this, bro. Like we can get through there. And, you know, so it's not a pretty situation.
Oh God.
But yeah, so we got there and we were accomplished and defeated both at the same time.
Yeah,
you know?
I could imagine. Had enough at that point, right?
Yeah, and like, you know, he had a stress fracture in his tailbone from being picked up and put down so many times. Because if you think about it, like, I just piggybacked him, man. Like, I would just like lock my hands in like this, his legs go through my arms, and then just piggyback. So it's just like, he's on a rock, I squat him up, walk as far as I can go, and then just get to the point where, you know, like I feel like I'm going to die, and then I put him on a rock. But I'm not like picking him up and putting him down with like a 15-second slow squat. Like, you know, I'm
it's like an 80 kilo man.
Right.
yeah. So
you don't really like put him down gently.
yeah. And he just could feel this aching up his spine, which is,
Fuck.
yeah. So he had a stress fracture, and then we both had like symptoms of cerebral edema, which is like a lack of oxygen to the brain. Like,
Jesus Christ.
And we weren't in good state. So we got medical evac.
Right. When you got to the top, yeah.
Yeah, so there's only like there's like 2 pilots that can fly that route or something like this. I don't know what the stats are now, but so we were in like this perfect weather window. So we just waited there for a bit. I mean, we did all the like stuff like fly the flag like there, and like we flew like one of the sponsors' flags, and yeah, we had a coffee.
Nice.
And yeah, then pretty much got in the helicopter, and we were holding it together. Like there's so many people like cheering and filming and just like stoked and crying. And we just did like a little bit of filming like on the top, and just like, you know, he's told his story about being the able disabled. It was kind of like his line, which I probably shouldn't tell you, but I just did. So yeah. And then when we got in the heli, I just like, man, I was like broken, bro. I just bawled my eyes out, and I hadn't cried in so long.
Right.
So it was just like, I don't know, I was just,
Yeah, dude.
it was such a metaphor for so many things in my life.
Right.
So yeah, I just broke down and then looked at him, and he was just bawling his eyes out. And then we got to the hospital, and he was on an oxygen tank, and we pretty much just looked at each other and acknowledged that no one will ever know that story except for right now and close friends. So.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for slipping the tea.
Yeah, I mean, here it is, eh?
Yeah.
Time
Yeah.
to get sued.
We only have like 5 cameras.
What a story. And like to me, when you first told me this, like you casually just I just climbed Mount Everest with paraplegic. You just say it so casually, and then you tell the story. It's like I just remember being in awe of some, like, it's such, like, I get it. There are a lot of people that do amazing things, and you know, but this thing is very unique because this is just something. Like, people in athletics, they do amazing athletic things, and you see that all the time. It's always televised and this stuff. But this is a very unique thing that, like, it just caught me by surprise because it's like, yeah, I can't really put it into words. I was just very taken by it. It's an amazing story. It's probably one of the most amazing stories I've ever heard ever. You know what I mean? And it's really, I'm really glad you came on here to share it, because I think people in our Iceland and our listeners will really, also feel the same way as I do, or I did when I first listened to it.
Yeah, I think very few people put themselves through so much, like, not for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in saying that also, like, part of it was for me, you know, like, part of it was like, I think the piece of me wanting to give so much was from the fact that, like, I got to see both sides of life. I got to see that, like, you know, hanging out with private school kids, like going to dinners and shit there, and just like the way that they would act and interact with each other, and then going to hang out with my mates who, like, you know, in the surf community that were a little less well off, you know, and the family feeling there, and the wholesomeness, and like the love there. And then I think all of that, you know, made me be like, oh, like, people that give is so much happier.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to figure out life at that age, you know? So I think just that was the rites of passage, and it was such a good lesson at that time in my life, because it kind of just showed me that, yeah, I had these big ambitions and no one believed in me. Like, everyone doubted me. Like, even some of the news was like, oh, you know, is he going to do it? Like, probably not. Like, you know, achieve the impossible. Good 18-year-old little boy. You know, so like, then to just
dude, you did
it.
that at 18. That's just, that makes this even more wild to me, because like what I was doing 18 was fuck all, bro. I was just being an idiot, you know, because that's what you do when you're 18. You're a freaking idiot. You know, you just,
here in Iceland, they're just going downtown and starting fights.
yeah, and stabbing people, you know.
Yeah. Well, I didn't actually, I think I did the climb when I was 19 or 20.
Okay.
But like, it all, the project
Yeah.
started, you know?
It had been a 2-year process, just like to get to that point, right? Or how long was it?
Yeah. But it was like 6 to 8 months, maybe 10 months to align all the ducks of, like,
Right.
you know, pitching this idea to him, because he didn't know. Like,
Right.
I had to figure out how we were going to fund this thing. It was like a couple $100,000. I had to figure out how it was going to be possible. Like,
Because you got all the money through this clothing brand that you started with this project. And how much income did come from that?
There was a fair bit of coin came in. I mean, it was.
Don't be such an Australian. Don't be so fucking Australian. Don't not talk about money, dude. You're in Iceland. Nobody gives a shit. Just talk about sums. It's okay.
Yeah, no, it was good money, but it was just the brand grew fast. Yeah, because it was such a cool thing, and the idea at the start was kind of, okay, we're going to keep doing heaps of these. Like, we're going to do 2-3 a year. Like, the goal was to do 4 a year. Like, 4 projects for people that had gone through something with a hell of a story. Come up with a crazy mission. Because at the time, also, like, I was a bit of a wild kid. I wanted to do crazy stuff.
Yeah, you had ambitions.
Break boundaries, and travel was a big part of it. So I wanted to like pick these crazy missions and then go and do that with different people. And Scotty just happened to be the first, and I ended up walking away from the company after, which was, a lot of people told me was the dumbest thing I've ever done.
Really?
But
because it's still successful and prominent today. It's still a very...
No, I destroyed that thing.
Oh, you did? Oh.
yeah, purposefully, pretty much. It was
really?
Some internal stuff happening.
Oh, I'm sorry.
With my family, I just decided family was more important than business, and the more successful it got, the more it ripped that apart.
Oh, really?
In a way, like one of my family members, so pretty much just was like, if that gets more successful, it just ruins my life, and it's a project that's trying to save and help other people's lives and my life. So,
are you referring to if you make too much money, it becomes a problem because people aren't going to be able to manage that who are close to you?
No, not necessarily. It's just like it's a whole story.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. So you're 26 now.
Yeah.
And at that time you were at 19, 20. So what happens afterwards? And let's sort of go through the next couple of years of your life. You become, do you get straight into like content creation and photography and travel and all this stuff after that? Yeah,
well, I had no intentions to make a documentary of this project at the time. I was just, some of my friends that were in film, I was like, oh, come on the mission, like blah, blah, blah. And they ended up coming on the mission, and obviously everything was paid for and stuff.
Right.
But then I was on the news one day on like live TV, and I'm a pretty cash guy. Like I don't think too much into things. I just pull the triggers. And I was on the news, and the girl's like, this is such an incredible feat, such an amazing thing that you've done. And we see that you bought Film People. Can we expect to see a documentary? And I just like, in my head, I was like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. So I was like, yeah, we got a documentary. It's coming out.
That's so Aussie.
So that got me into...
fuck yeah.
Yeah, actually, we started it ages ago. So that's what got me into film. So obviously I said that on TV.
Right.
A couple of people hit me up, and they're like, oh, you're doing this film? Like, how are you producing it? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like... I left it, and some of the guys in my business like, what the hell you say that for? That's not true at all. I was like, well, it is now.
So that was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're still waiting for that documentary to come out.
Yeah, well, the networks like are pretty big on paperwork, and as you can imagine, like...
Are you still lying now about the documentary?
Am I still what?
Lying about the documentary?
Totally.
Nice.
No, I can actually give you a trailer if you want to.
Oh, really? Yeah.
We could put it on the screen.
Yeah. Nice. Put it up.
Watch it now or later?
Let's do it now.
Put it up here. We'll all watch it, and then we'll put it up on the screen at the same time.
Yeah.
A few moments later.
That's wild.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It's called Rise.
It's called Rise. Yeah.
We'll bleep that out if we're not allowed to.
I don't know what. I'll just have to send it to the producer. But it's been through a couple of different producers, to be honest. Like, and it's had a couple of pitches. Like, there's a whole documentary already done.
Right.
But it's an artist thing, I think. Like, what I made 6 years ago, and even like at the beginning of my career, and then I started getting into film after that, then I started to become like attached to like a certain quality, and I was like, it's just not the quality.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just wanted it to represent.
Yeah, you want it to be the best thing that it possibly can.
100. So it got to the stage, like, to be honest, the first year I was like, this needs to be faster. Like, and I was pushing like the crew to like edit faster and like make it faster, and we were doing documentary styled interviews, like really rogue, and it was just so unprofessional because it was like picking up a camera just winging it.
Yeah.
And then once it got to like a year or 2 year mark, I was like, oh, it's irrelevant now anyway. And all it takes is like one big campaign and it's relevant again.
Exactly.
Right.
So now I'm just like so unattached to the outcome of when it comes out or
Yeah, it's in
whatever.
someone
It's more
else's
just like-
hands right now.
Yeah, right now, yeah. Julia Wheeler, she's done some amazing films, like
Right.
wild shots and stuff. But yeah, she's pretty much taken it on and doing a lot of the stuff now of like reproducing, and it's been through like 3 different producers that have taken it on and like reshot stuff, and I'm just
Wow.
like, no, it's not. It's not the story, like, because I'd rather it not be out, and I'd have that in my pocket to be able to share around a campfire with the people that I'm really close with, really
Yeah.
close friends,
Right.
rather
Ooh.
than everyone just sees a really crappy version of it.
Yeah. I
'Cause-
get that because this is also like, yeah, you want this to be right. You don't want it just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, how much do they like fake it?
Well, there's nothing reshot in terms of like the actual climb, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
you didn't go back up there to get a
Yeah,
couple
we
of
didn't go
we
back
need
to
a
climb
better
it again.
camera. We need a 6K right here, guys.
Yeah, I just need probably like a year and a half to get absolutely mortally jacked again.
Oh, Scotty, in there ready for round 2?
Yeah, I don't have that much trauma anymore. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Has there ever been a guy as jacked as you on the mountain before? In base camp?
I'm sure there was.
Nah, there's definitely been some jack dudes up there
Definitely.
for
Can
sure.
you get like a document like the most jacked dude on base
You
camp?
should definitely. That'd be an award right there.
I mean,
Yeah.
Scotty's pretty jacked, man. He might have
Yeah.
had the cake on me, to be fair. I always told him he did, and he's like, no, I don't. But I reckon his
Yeah, do you?
glasses could have been there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's been through a couple of producers, and it's just like because it's a story about him, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's his story. It's
Yeah.
his journey. It's
Yeah.
like it's his story of becoming disabled
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the journey he went through. And then I'm just like an addition to the film that helped make it happen.
Yeah.
But I hardly
Yeah,
get
you're
a
like
mention.
sails on the boat, right?
Yeah, like it's so I'm just like, if I'm going to make a film about someone that was such a big part of my life, it's better to be perfect. Otherwise, it's just not going to be out there.
Yeah. Which is an honorable approach for sure.
Yeah.
But all right, so to get back to what goes on after that, because
Yeah.
like I said, you were about 19, 20 then, and you're 26 now. What happens there in between?
Yeah. So did that documentary thing.
Yeah.
Got pretty recognized a little bit as like
Yeah.
someone making a crazy documentary.
Yeah, you became quite the celebrity in Australia, right? Or in the world for that sense.
Yeah. I mean, I was a little bit known. I was like not a celeb, but yeah, I was like people had
People asking for selfies.
back in the day, like there was people that were like, man, what you did was absolutely incredible. Like I just
Yeah.
followed that and inspired me so
Right.
much. Like, can we get a photo? But it was a lot more real than just like being famous on TikTok, like big curls over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be the first one to climb Mount Everest jacked.
You could carry me.
Oh,
That'd be a
shit.
big feat.
I don't know.
You'll be the first one to do the renegade on Mount Everest, bro.
I'll take that one.
All right,
Yeah,
guys, I'm here on Mount Everest, and I'm about to do the renegade.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, I would take the helicopter, I think.
Dude, you would just fake the whole climb in this green screen right here.
Yeah, then I can hold you, man. That's no problem. If we can you can do some VFX stuff.
Yeah. It is basically like the moon landing.
Yeah.
Oh, controversial.
No, we won't go there. But yeah, so then I got into film because obviously I was like, oh, I'm kind of in film now.
Right. Yeah,
and then-
content had been like such a big part of this process, so you sort of found a passion for it.
Yeah, so then I kind of just was like, yeah, I left that business and I was trying to figure out life. And life was pretty trippy then because I went from like a normal kid, like small town kind of kid. Maybe not normal, but like, you know what I mean? And then I came back to that small town and all the guys who talk shit about me hated me now. I wanted to be my best mate.
Yeah, because you're a hero now, buddy. You
And I
came
was like-
back to town a hero. What was that like, bro?
I was
Did
like,
you like give
damn, this is
everybody, you
fake.
fucking doubted me, man. I'm not being your homie.
Nah, well, because I had gone through like a little spiritual awakening, I guess, you know?
All right. At 20.
Yeah. I mean,
oh my God.
yeah, it was crazy. So came back and I was like, whoa, the world is weird.
Yeah.
And Western culture is like sideways and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, like I need to sort myself out. I was so lost, walked away from the business. Everyone's like, what are you doing? And then just was like, I need to travel the world. So, not long after that, started traveling the world, got some sponsors, just went and shot like cool photos and videos and stuff for brands like around the world. I kind of got myself into some equally as gnarly experiences. Went all across Africa and did some crazy stuff there, which you kind of know about.
Yeah, that's pretty well.
Yeah.
Should we dive into that a bit? Because after that, you were still very much trying to get these experiences to go to these like extreme measures to, I guess, find what life is about, right? Because is that fair to say? To sort of to discover yourself and your fucking purpose and whatever you need to do as a human being, right?
Yeah.
So you went to Africa and you had quite the experience there. Could you like just yeah?
Here he is.
Just get into it, man. Get into it, bro. Africa's a great story. Let's go.
Yeah. I had a bit of a tribal immersion in Africa.
A travel immersion, is that
a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
So.
Where do you start?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know where I started.
I feel like you need to stand up for this one to reenact it, like you did when. Yeah.
You learned that one?
That's the story, yeah.
Oh, yeah, in Icelandic.
Yeah, no, so pretty much, I spent some time with all different cultures, but, the African culture was with the Maasai people and
which is like a tribe, right?
Yeah, this is like tribal Africa we're talking about, not fucking Johannesburg and you're getting a McD's.
Yeah. If you fly a drone over, you're gonna get shot down.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna get speared down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a lot of missions like that. I mean, at this time I was like, okay, I don't really care about my life. I more care about figuring out life.
Right. You were so focused on finding your purpose in a way that you just we're kind of wild and pushing past what was maybe logical decisions and dangerous situations to put yourself in, but you were like willing to go the dangerous measure to figure it out, to get the answers that you wanted.
Yeah, I was like approaching lions and like putting my
Jesus Christ.
putting my I mean, we could play a video in the background. I was like put my hands up to lions, just like do I have a connection with this animal? I don't know. But I was a different breed of human at that time in my life.
But you came close to dying in a situation. What happened there?
I mean, I came close to dying in many situations, to be honest.
Right. There are a couple.
Yeah.
There was a few, but I don't know if I want to drop all my stories here.
Fair enough.
I don't know if I want to drop every story.
Right. Yeah, sure. So after Africa, you were doing a lot of photography and videography, and that's part of the reason why you wanted to travel to Africa. So after that, you were traveling pretty much all over the world. You had an abundance of resources from your company that you had started with the Mount Everest campaign. So you were very much just living life, right? You were having a blast. You were really getting into it. Yeah,
I pretty much left everything in the company, and that just was gone. So the resources from that brands, Apex Gen, like the clothing brand, was not really there. But I was getting paid from a bunch of different other brands like to rep their stuff. You
sort of became essentially a travel influencer, and shitty of a how do you say it? And shitty of a name that is today, I guess, because it doesn't really have a nice ring to today. A travel influencer, because it's like I feel like that sort of branding has sort of gone down in value. It's sort of more of a joke today. But you were one of the first ones to get into that sort of lifestyle and content creation, influencing, and so you were doing big brand deals and just sort of traveling the world, having a blast. Now that sounds like a good time.
It was a great time. Yeah. It was great. And I was just figuring life out. Like I was going to all the crazy countries doing the craziest stuff.
Right. And
I was like, people were like, this kid's got a death wish.
Right.
I've kind of did.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to do the wilder stuff because that makes me feel alive.
Right.
And then that's when I also started getting into skydiving.
Yeah.
And then that became a really big part of my life. And I was just on kamikaze missions, like going into the jungle, different places, like riding motos and scooters through there, like finding cliffs to jump off, like doing big cliff jumps, rope swings, like immersing myself into dangerous situations, like
challenging yourself to the
challenging
extreme.
myself in every way, shape, and form, I guess. And just meeting people and like going into dinners with like crazy people from crazy parts of the world with like different human experiences, and just getting myself there. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but
well, fuck.
Yeah.
What's your favorite spot
in the world? Yeah.
Favorite's a hard question, you know?
Yeah.
Because favorite's subjective. Like, you know, I could tell you favorite like place to just like chill out and have fun.
Just if you want to go like next week.
Bali's
Bali?
a bit of a little dream mecca.
Are we going to Bali?
Yeah, well, we did Mykonos. I think we should
Boys
definitely.
trip to Bali.
Exactly. 1 year ago, we did the exact same like chat.
We did.
Yeah, like let's go to Mykonos.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Had a little Bali trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for people listening, how me and Curly and David met Matt was just simply through Instagram. You were traveling around, and you were traveling with another photographer that we knew, and then you hit up. Was it? How do we link up? Yeah. Anyway, we linked up through Instagram because you guys were traveling. You and Eitan, your friend, and then we just hung out, did like a little trip, and we started just.
What were we doing here in Iceland
probably.
the first time?
I was just having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah, of course. I remember.
I feel like let's move on into your Iceland experience.
Yeah.
All right, cut to like last year, okay?
Yeah.
And you and Eitan decided to send it to Europe and go to Iceland, right?
Yeah.
And you guys arrive in Iceland,
Nightmare.
and with no plan, no booked hotel, no nothing, right?
Yeah.
And you've been traveling for a bit, you've been having a blast, you were on a vibe. So take it from there, Matt.
Yeah, well, we had been ripping around Europe, like 2 rhinos through Europe, you know, out of the zoo. Eitan, my good homie, he's a character as well. So we were having a lot of fun. And yeah, we had been in Israel and Tel Aviv for a bit. We'd gone all across Greece and stuff. We were just yeeting around Europe. And then we found ourselves in Croatia. We were at this festival called Sonas Festival. Like, oh man, giving it a good nudge, you know?
Right.
Whatever went down the hatch, went down the hatch. And we were having a lot of fun. So we had this big house with like a couple of girls from Australia. They kind of just hit us up and like, oh, we want to come to Croatia as well. I'm like, sweet, let's get a big house. And we were just having parties back there. And it was like 7 days. Like we slept 2 hours a night and just bended. And we found ourselves just before we were supposed to move from the Airbnb. Like, oh, well, where are we going to go? Like, what are we going to do kind of thing. And I think we spoke to someone at the festival who was like showing us photos of Iceland and stuff. And they were like, oh, sick. And we booked it super drunk, like super drunk. And we booked it for the next morning at like 8 or 9 a.m. or something. And we had to organize like a cab. And literally that night we took a bunch of people back to the Airbnb and like, I don't know, I think we were like naked on the roof or something, like looking at the stars, like absolutely sideways as the sun rose. And then, this taxi rocked up and I was like, oh, what the hell? Like, what's this taxi up to? I was like, tell this, whoever's entering the party at 7 a.m. like, leave, bro. Like, wrong timing. So, then I was like, who's that? And then they were like, oh, it's for Matt. I was like, what? For Matt? No chance. Like, get out of here, buddy. and then it clicked in my brain. I was like, oh, shit. We booked a flight to Iceland. Now, in our backpack, like, we had this small bag. And it was just literally Europe summer, like 35 degrees, like gear, like shorts and singlets and all that kind of stuff. And I run and wake up Eitan and he's just like in bed. I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like we're going now. He's like, what? And I was like, yeah, like going to Iceland. And he's like, what the hell? And then, just kind of just got him up. Like in like 2 minutes, we just jammed stuff in our bag and we're like, to the girls, like, oh, we're going, see her, like, enjoy like cleaning up the Airbnb. If there's any dramas, let us know, and then we just bowed. and that was the death flight because we had not slept, and we had to fly to like from Split to whatever this other place in Croatia is, and to Budapest, and then somewhere else, and then to Iceland. And we got
terrible
here,
transit.
yeah, and we got here at like it must have been 1 a.m. or something, and had absolutely nowhere to stay. And we walked outside, and I was like, "Shit, Iceland's cold." Like, didn't think about that. And I was in like shorts and a singlet, hadn't organised accommodation, hadn't organised a car, nowhere to go. We were just holding on for dear life at this stage, like, you know, scattered. Which, you know, maybe I don't condone like that, but it was a good time. Anyway, and we're like, damn, we tried to go to a hotel, like no hotel rooms. We couldn't get any. So like, Eitan and I were in like dire conditions. We're like, God damn, what are we going to do here? So, and yeah, he looked at me and he was like, open Tinder. And I was like, oh shit, here we go. So yeah, I got to
and you figured it out from there.
Oh, it's so good.
Alex is so stoked I'm sharing this right now.
It's a great story. I've heard it like about 4 or 5 times now. I'm still excited right now.
Yeah, so man, it was just like swiping on Tinder, like just please need someone to stay. Like it was freezing, had no hot clothes, like honestly shivering, like coming off like a bender. We're just like, oh, this is rough. This is like, you know, dire straits. Anyway, I matched a few chicks, and like I think that first night they were kind of like, nah, like, you know, I want to meet you like not at 1, 2 a.m. in the morning. You can't just come. Because I was like, hey, like, can I come to yours? Like, but, you know, I got to bring my homie. Like, can he sleep on the lounge kind of thing? Anyway, so that first night, I think we ended up somehow scoring like just a hotel.
Right.
Like last minute, like we went to all these hotels that were booked out and stuff.
And there was like a cancellation. That's why you guys...
Cancellation, we got in. And then we just passed out, and we woke up the next day and we're just like, fuck, like it's cold, man. We need to go buy some like gear. Which is when I got that like Morpheus leather jacket, which became like the kit that I wore for however long we hung
It's
out.
just still a strange choice for fucking Iceland.
Yeah.
Like a leather jacket. It's only so warm, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I had like one pair of jeans. But anyway, I met this chick. And
Through Tinder.
And she was just like, oh, come for lunch first. And I went to lunch and like just bought Eitan. It was so cute. It was like, bring my little dog, you know, like it's like you chicks love dogs, you know. And he's such a Labrador of a human. So yeah, then we went to lunch with this chick, and she's like, oh yeah, you can come back to mine. And then pretty much just moved into this Tinder chick's house. Like, yeah. And then like, okay, we're like, okay, sweet. Like we got a base now. We got some like warm clothes. Now let's go see Iceland, you know. So we tried to get a car. Like, as you know, it's so hard in Iceland to get a car. So we ended up scoring this little Jimmy last minute, and then we just did like the South Coast or whatever, and this Tinder chick like gave us heaps of recommendations like where to go. So then missioned around there for a bit, and then who did I meet that I was like, oh, because at the time I got like an email from one of the brand people that I was working with, like a manager that was like, hey, we've got a campaign for DJI. Right. It'll probably be when you get back. Yeah. But it's like for the DJI FPV. Right. And I was like, oh shit, like, and they were going to ship it to Australia, but I was like, I'm in Iceland, like it's the home of amazing beauty. You know, like, I have to shoot that. It's a good place to shoot for sure. So then I was like, damn, okay, how can I get my hands on it? And it was like brand new, hadn't come out. Right. And I was like, put it in some drone groups or whatever, like, hey, I needed this. Yeah. And then all these like drone people started hitting me up. Actually, that some of them were roasting me. They were like, oh, if you're gonna do a job for DJI, why aren't they gonna send it out to you? Haha. Like, yeah, they didn't like, buy it that you were like, that you were getting it. I was like, all right, bro, calm down. you responded with the screenshot of the email, and then everybody just shut the fuck up. I remember that. Yeah, it was hilarious. Yeah. It's like fucking Icelandic haters, like, sure, buddy, you're working with the DJI. Yeah, definitely, mate, definitely. Yeah, and then a couple of legends hit me up. Like, it was like Svanna. Yeah. And stuff like that. Yeah. And then they came and linked. We went on this like mission, and it was like Gukna or something. Heaps of crew linked. And then that's when I guess they were like, oh, this Matt guy's pretty nuts. Like, wants to jump off cliffs. Because I was like, so where can I like jump off some big cliffs into water? And then that's when they were like, oh. Yeah, one of your crew hit up one of my buddies, and
and he hit up me for a cliff jumping mission.
Yeah. Well, they were like to me like, yo, there's this Alex guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he sends it. And I was like, all right, let's go, Alex. What do you got, baby? And then, when I met you and Steppe, like, I was just like, oh, finally, here's my boys.
Yeah. Instant connection. It was great. Yeah. Me and Steppe are a vibe for cliff jumping for sure. And it was like, and it was fun meeting you guys because we hadn't really jumped properly, I think, on that location before. I think it was it was the second time Steppe jumped, I think. But yeah, so it wasn't like a very like regular spot to jump.
Yeah, this was the arc in Snæfellsnes, right?
Yeah, on Snæfellsnes, Arnarsteppi on Snæfellsnes. And yeah, it's like, it's a pretty gnarly place to jump, to be honest.
So gnarly.
So like I was like my, how do you say it? I was pretty small for that jump and I didn't really, it was like, it's freaking 17 meters or something. So I was not feeling it that day, but I knew Steppe was, so I was like, all right, I'll shoot Steppe, it'll be fine. And then I was like excited to see what you guys would do. And you were like, you know, finding your spot to jump off. I was like, oh shit, here we go. And both you and Eitan, did a gainer and you did a backy from the arch. Dude, it's so sick, man. It was so, and immediately then I was like, all right, these dudes are fucking sick.
Yeah, man, that was good. Like, I think both Eitan and I were like, you know, like we've been just coming off a bender. Like we hadn't showered in ages because we've just been staying in this rooftop tent of this little chimney. Like it was dire straight times. It wasn't like luxurious.
Right.
But then it was like you guys were wearing like full wetsuits and we were like, come on, boy.
Yeah, fuck it. You didn't wear any suits. You did it. Yeah, just only in shorts. Fuck, I just remember that now. Fuck. Yeah, that was so wild because the ocean here is way colder than Australia, man.
Oh man, what do you mean way colder? It's freezing, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like jumping into an ice bath. Man. But yeah, so that was epic to meet you guys, and then we were like, sweet, like met a crew, and then we went back to the Tinder chick's house. It's probably overstaying my welcome at this stage, but. It is what it is. That kind of happens. I'm not going to drop any names in this story, but I will tell part of this story.
What happened? What happened? Like,
I mean, let's just start off by saying she was super dope.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just out of nowhere, just opened her home to host us. Like, what an amazing chick.
So it's such a lovely thing to do to a couple of strangers, for sure.
Yeah. And she was super cool. Like, she wrote us, like, endless list of like all the coolest spots, like, and it was a vibe, man. We were just like we just bought so much food, just stocked her house up, and we're like, I mean, she was frothing, like, you know, Eitan's not a bad looking guy, and like with his shirts off, cooking her breakfast every morning.
Yeah,
and, like, she was having a decent time as well, I think. But yeah, we were treating her like a queen, but like, oh man, she's probably gonna hear this, but I wasn't that into it.
Yeah.
On that way.
Yeah. You were more on the friend vibe. Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Just
for sure.
amazing chick, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And, you know, the situation was that it was just like this one little studio place. Like the kitchen was involved. The bathroom was like right there. And then there was like the bed and the living room were like.
Yeah, it was one of those university apartments.
Exactly,
right.
yeah. So
pretty compact.
So she kind of like, Eitan's bed was like right next to like the bed that I was staying in, which is with her.
Right.
Which is, you know, like, yeah, whatever. Like we're making a fun adventure and a fun story here.
Right.
You know, this kind of stuff you do with like a best mate. You know, you're just like, we don't know why we're in this situation, but we're here, so let's do it. And then that was keeping it pretty good because Eitan was there. Like we weren't like, you know, there was no funny business going on.
Yeah.
But there was like definitely a lot of like flirting kind of stuff, which I would be like, oh, no, I don't know about that.
She was signaling. She was doing a mating call subtly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was getting primal on it, you know?
Right.
But yeah, so anyway, one night, like Eitan like met up with this other chick from Tinder.
Yeah.
And at this stage, like we were growing a friendship, you know, and like I was really starting to grow a crew in us, and I was like, damn, this place is like a dream world, you know? You know, Eitan like linked up with this chick on Tinder who's actually super cute and like good vibes. So he went and stayed at her house, and he texted me, he's like, hey bro, I'm not going to come back to like the person's house tonight. It's so weird to not say a name, like, but I'm trying hard.
Yeah. We can also just bleep it out.
Yeah, I'm not going to go back to her place tonight, so you're going to be on your own kind of thing. And it was all right because the girl, like she was out with friends partying or whatever, and I was just at her house chilling, and I was like, okay, nice, I'm gonna rest. But she texted me, she's like, is anyone home? Are you home? And I was like, Aitan's out. So she read that text and was like, I'm coming back home right now. And I was like, damn, here we go, man.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You should have been like, yeah, I'm just about to go to sleep. But like, you sent that text, she probably didn't even finish like the conversation. She probably just ran out of the group without letting anybody know, just like fucking galloped all the way there,
Yeah. So
this handsome Australian is waiting for me at home. I can't wait.
Yeah. I, like literally within like 7 minutes she was home, and I was just pretending to be asleep.
Right.
Oh. So I was just like shut my eyes and I was like, okay, like come on, man, like don't flinch. And then I feel bad telling this story.
No, man. She's cool, man. She'll get it. Like she'll be fine if she sees this.
Yeah,
she's cool.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's just a little horny that night.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone's got to do what they got to do, Like,
yeah. You got to shoot your shot,
100%. So yeah, then pretty much like comes back, and yeah, I'm like pretending to be asleep, and I could like hear clothes being removed, and I was like, okay, don't look. And then I peeked over, and I was like, oh shit, she's naked.
So essentially, she pulled. Yeah, wow. What happened then, Matt?
Oh man. And then
it wasn't done there, was it?
It's getting hot in here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell the story.
Yeah.
So then, pretty much, yeah, I'm chilling there, and she gets in, and she kind of just like ran, actually, her hand like super seductively like from my head like down my body, and she's like, hello. I was like, oh. And then I just tried to pretend. I was like, hey, how are you? I'm so tired. And then yeah, tried a bit of funky business, and I ended up just like saying, oh, I'm too tired, blah blah blah. And I won't get into the saucy details on the podcast.
No, what? Dude,
No, you can.
No, yes, you
Oh,
can,
really?
bro. Yes,
I don't know if I can do that, man.
What are you talking? If you won't, then I will, bro. Those are the good parts about the story. So yeah, so she was coming on to you. She was saying if you would be down to smash.
Yeah.
And you were not really feeling it. So what happened then?
Tell us, Matt.
Oh man. Yeah. So pretty much. Well, she started just tending to herself a little bit,
Yeah.
and I was just laying there.
She
like,
started pleasuring herself while you were asleep next to her. All right.
Bro, surely not.
You can also hear Arthur laughing in the back there.
I don't know. It gets better. Trust me. This is just the beginning.
You can say no. You can just figure out after the podcast if you want to cut it out or not.
Yeah. You just go
It's already
wild.
been a good story.
And if you don't feel good about it,
Yeah.
we'll edit it out. So continue.
Alright,
Just
we
let
could
it
just-
let it rip.
We could just say like, this story may or may not be factual, so just
Right.
enjoy the entertainment.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it there. This story could be a hoax.
Yeah, it's based on fictional characters and
Yes.
events.
Based on fictional characters and events that is a fantasy story. Here we go. So I'm laying in bed and I'm like, okay, like this is happening. Anyway, and I was like, this is a bit of a sensory experience. I could smell a bit of like fish in the air. Like, and I was like, okay, like this is happening. I could like, I was like, okay, that's sweet. Like, and then I was like, hey, I'm awake. And she's like, oh, good. And like, like kind of rolled over or whatever. And I had to just be like, hey, look, like, I really appreciate you. And like, this has been sick staying with you. And like, I think you're an amazing person, but I'm not into you like sexually. Like, platonically, we have an amazing relationship. I want to keep it like that. And she tried, and she's like, okay, then, well, how about this? And she gets up, she goes into the corner of the room, and I'm like, what the hell? And she pulls like this little like plastic crate, whips it open, and she gets this like whip. She has this whip out.
She gets a whip out.
And I'm in a vulnerable position, man. I'm in my undies. You know, I got no shirt on. I'm just chilling like this on the bed. And she runs the whip like down my body and just goes. And I was like, okay. I was like, hey. I was like, I'm like just not into it. Like, super tired. Like, just can't do this. Didn't want to hurt her feelings too because she's this legend of a chick. Mm-hmm. And then she goes, okay then. And lays there and starts like kind of whipping herself. She pulls out this other drawer. And I shit you not, man. There is like a plethora of vibrators and dildos and butt plugs and all the goods, man. And I was like, whew, it's getting hectic in here, man. So then, she kind of just like sat next to me. And what a bad time.
Surely. We have a guest in the studio.
Do you want to come join?
Yeah, let's finish the story. And
this is Mystery Fantasy Woman.
Yes, it is actually. Come
join.
Is.
Come say hello.
No, I don't think she wants. You want? Nah, she's good. All right, continue with the story.
So I'm laying in the bed and I'm like, said I'm not into it.
Yeah.
And then she pulls out a dildo.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Surely not. And then she just goes to town next to me for a bit.
And you're just laying there
and I was just like contemplating life and
you're just looking at the ceiling or looking at her or what's going on.
And I was just like, all right, man, this is happening. Sweet. So anyway, that was pretty awkward.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so so that's a hell of an experience, and you that was just like
welcome to Iceland.
Yeah, did some cliff jumping, met some cool people, and then you had a hectic experience with your host.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was different. It was different for sure. But
she was very. How do you say it? She was very. She wasn't. How do you say it? She was. What's the word? She was very respectful of your like boundaries that you set.
Look, like, let's be honest. Like, I was in a weird situation with a homie, just finished a bender in Croatia, like, for a week long. And then I got to this situation where I've got on Tinder.
Right.
I've met other, like, what's Tinder for? Like,
Yeah.
You're not really trying to find friends. Like,
True.
maybe I don't know. Like, but, then, like, I'm hanging at this chick's house. Like, I tell her I'm not into it, but, like, it's a friendship.
Right.
Like, obviously, she's got to try and shoot her shot.
Yeah.
Like, good on her, like, but at the end of the day, like, she had two decent looking dudes in her apartment, like, with our shirts off, cooking her breakfast and lunch. And like, I said, I'm not keen, but like it would be hard for her too, man.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like we're in her space. She can't flick the bean or whatever. Like, I don't know, let's be honest, like, I don't know what her sex drive's like, but it is what it is.
For sure.
So everyone's got, desires and needs. And I think that to try and put that into a category and context is probably not right. But so it was a sick time with her. And then I met you guys, so that was a positive thing.
Yeah. So a hell of an experience, what a wild thing to do. I think as like many Icelanders that are listening, they would never in their wildest dream go like to a foreign country, go on Tinder and like, you know what I mean? I think it's a very rare thing to do, but it's also like it made for a great story and a very strange experience for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I think that a lot of people travel and they're trying to travel for other people. Like they're trying to travel to post it on Instagram to seem cool and that kind of stuff. But like when we think about travel and what travel is for, it's kind of just human experience. Like, what are you trying to squeeze into that?
Yeah.
And everyone's got a different ideology of traveling and what suits them. But for me, it's like when I go to another city or another country, like I just want to feel as immersed as I can. I want to be in the culture. And when you're just going and you're cruising at hotels and like you're keeping in your little circle and you're just eating the food and doing the things like isn't that a little bit NPC?
It is.
Yeah. Like, whereas when you start really hanging out with the locals and like immersing yourself there, like the relationship and friendship that I made with you, and then like, with Curly as well, going to like Mykonos and stuff, like that is what travel's about. Like book a one-way flight.
Right.
Don't book a return flight. meet some crew and just be like, I'm going to Mykonos. You want to come? Sweet. Let's go to Mykonos.
Right.
And then go to Croatia and party for a week and then go to Greece and do that. Like, and just let it flow, because like, that's what we're supposed to do in life, is just flow, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that too many people just set these like rigid guidelines of, oh, I'm going to book a return flight and I'm going to book my hotel and I'm going to do this all 1 month in advance. And they just miss the magic of life.
For sure. But yeah, so we end up going for dinner, I think the day after your fateful night. And we're all talking, and we have a bunch of different people at the dinner table, and we start talking what your plans are next. And you tell us that I don't know if you had planned or you had booked Mykonos at that point.
Yeah, my homie Harry, I think, was buying a property in Mykonos.
Right.
And I was linking up with him.
Right. And did you have a men's retreat there, or was it something else? It was...
Nah. This was just a bit of me time this whole trip, a couple months, just kind of like get out. I had been cooped up over COVID.
Right.
And I had gone like, you know, before COVID, I was just traveling the world. And then I got stuck, which was like that time of introspection. And that's where the men's retreats were born in that time. And then that had been my life. And then finally the world opened up. So then this trip was just like, actually, it was more just wondering, okay, am I still that crazy, wild, cliff jumping, skydiving maniac that travels the world and is so free flow? Or am I finding a bit more maturity and slowness and groundedness and introspection in the small details of life?
I relate to that. I really do. Because like I've been like going pretty hard for the last couple of years. Like even, I think it's sort of all accumulated. I think I'm saying this wrong, but it all came together like with the TV show. That was sort of like where all this sort of action stuff sort of became the most sort of, I think, prominent. And the thing is, like after the TV show, I slowed down. And also like a friend of mine died in a horrible accident. I think that really also gave me this shock that really just sort of made me really change my perspective. I'd never lost anybody like that. So that really, after that, I just slowed down, and I feel like I'm betraying myself for not being that person that I've been for the last couple of years, being extreme, skydiving, cliff jumping, all these things, you know? And I try to like, it was an internal struggle there. I was trying to like maintain it. I like kept at it. Me and David, we got our skydiving license in England, you know, and it was a great experience, but I still felt my sort of core finding more peace and calm in the little things, in the mundane sort of side of life. And so it's good to hear you talk about it. I don't think I've heard you talk about that. So keep going.
Yeah, I think COVID was an amazing thing for humanity.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think in the time that, especially for people like you and I, that are just crazy traveling, like forming an identity with adrenaline.
Right.
Adrenaline's good in doses, but like I think we probably are the extreme side of that.
Right.
And what COVID did was it forced people to take a breath.
Right.
And especially for me in Australia, and I'll just speak on my situation, like, you know, I was traveling the world. I actually got stuck in Australia by accident because I was in the Philippines, got a phone call from Channel 9 to do this Ninja Warrior TV show.
Right.
And then ended up getting stuck there, like mid-TV show, like the international borders shut and all that kind of stuff. Found myself in Byron Bay with like a good crew of friends. All my homies like Alex Hayes and stuff from Australia flew into Byron, and we got this amazing house. And we were still adventuring, but like we were kind of cooped up.
Right.
And we were having like a really wholesome time. And I think like the ability to stop and reflect when you least want to do that is something that we all need in our life, you know? Because for me, when I'm going 100 miles an hour, the last thing I want to do is stop. And I'm sure we can relate that. Like you probably relate that in your business. Like, you know, when things are just going, you're just like, this is the last time you want to stop.
Exactly.
But it's the best time that you need it.
It is.
And it's like COVID was that forced like pause button for everyone. And for me, like having that pause, I really spent a lot of time in introspection, like really internalizing and coming to terms with what my life is and what it had just been. And just integrating like that craziness of my whole life period. And I think like that left so many questions in my mind of going, do I still have the same drivers? And do I still tick and think in the same way? Am I now a product of a whole different being, or am I still that crazy person? I don't know, because I hadn't had the time to travel and do it. And that trip was like going back in a time machine. You know, I was doing the crazy stuff that I was doing, but I was doing it with like a little more presence and a little more depth.
Yeah, you didn't take a camera this time. You were just...
no camera, just in the moment. And I was there to just have good conversations with people.
Right.
And just meet people and connect with people and understand people and understand them from a new place of being, like from a place that is a little bit more insightful, a place that had like, you know, I journaled every day, like when I was home, like, and I had, you know, done some plant medicine, like gone and sat some of those, like done a lot of like ceremony stuff, like I guess like really diving deep into that spiritual / mindfulness kind of space. And I feel like for someone that's so crazy and ADHD and skydiving and jumping cliffs and like always hanging around cool people, like they need that the most.
Right.
And when I got that, I was like, damn, I don't even know who I am anymore. You know, like I've been through so much crazy stuff. And then, yeah, so that trip was just separate to the men's retreat stuff, because I had formed that identity. I started hosting other men, like doing breath work, sexology, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, all this stuff.
Right. I really want to get into the men's retreat. I think we'll probably finish up there. But before we go there, we had a dinner in Iceland and we decided to all go to Mykonos. You were like, you should come. And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. Are you serious though? Like, cause if you're serious, I'm fucking down. Let's go. And then we had a dinner and we got Curly on board and our friend Viking. Viking ended up hooking up this amazing fucking, what was it again? Like a
villa.
Like a villa, like a really, really nice villa. And we had these 3 days of just pure bliss in Mykonos. I'd never been, you neither, right?
No.
It was just so much fun.
I guess that's like my favorite spot.
Yeah.
It
yeah,
is.
You think so? That's your favorite spot
You're so
of traveling?
free, man. Yeah. I said it also like last night, like when we were driving the quad bikes.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that was dangerous as well.
But it's so, yeah.
A friend of mine who's like a seasoned Mykonos visitor, he's like, bro, don't like, you know, party and, you know, drive those quad bikes. I've lost friends like that. And I was like, shit. I guess we did the typical sort of party boy thing there, like fucking send those 4-wheelers wherever, like not in this like avstandi to do that. But yeah, you know, you live and you learn, you know.
Yeah, we do.
But yeah, that was such a great experience. Also because like what I was mostly grateful for is that and also why I'm grateful for Curly is like I don't have a lot of friends that are as extreme with things that I want to do. Like I will always prioritize experience over, for example, making money, and that's what I've done for the last couple of years. Right, I made a decent amount, like a decent living here, like being a creator. Right, but I've always spent like most of it just on getting out there and doing stuff, whether it's in Iceland or some other countries. And I never really had a crew that like could follow all this stuff, because everybody usually has their jobs or is like busy building companies or whatever, you know, they're not really on that frequency. So when I met you, I was like, oh wow, this is great, you know, like finally someone who can connect on that part of it, who really wants the experience, who really wants to learn about themselves by doing these things, right? And by saying this, like, because Curly, he's always been the one who's like, I'm down, you know? And so like these last couple of years when me and him been doing trips, I've been so grateful, because like he's pretty much the only friend that's like, I can call him like 2 days before, like, yo bro, you want to fucking go to, you know, like Tomorrowland or Mykonos or something? And he'd be like, all right, let's do it, man. And like I've never had that type of friend, so I'm really grateful for Curly, because like it's cool being around, for instance, like someone like you who's from, sorry Arnar, I've been holding the mic a long way, someone like you who's from another culture. But like when you have someone from Iceland who's doing it with you, it's like you have someone that gets your side from Iceland, but also like can see the experience and the travel experience from your perspective as well. Do you know what I mean? So you're not completely surrounded by people from completely different cultures. You know what I mean?
Curly made Mykonos, man. You remember this? You remember we were in that bar and you turned one of the poles in this pumping pumping nightclub into like a stripper pole, and you were like going upside down on it. It's like,
dude, Mykonos is such a wild place. It's like these small little walking avenues of white buildings and just clubs.
Yeah,
And
it's fun.
I just forgot about that pole stuff. Thanks, man.
We have to play that.
yeah, let's play some clips while we're over the conversations here for sure.
But yeah, same to you. Like with the travel stuff, I think like I always needed some buddies to travel with.
Yeah.
So when you just call like, hey, we should go to Mykonos.
Yeah, because I always feel like people have a hard time making a quick decision to travel, or at least most people that I know, right? And it was always just like, I was like, dude, fucking let's live life, you know? So I'm like, I'm so grateful for Curly, and I'm so happy for all of us to like do a trip, because like that's a forever memory, you know? That's something that will like be forever treasured, and like those things are worth more than any fucking money in the bank that I'll ever make in my eyes, you know? Because I'll never be that age with you doing those things like probably ever again, because life changes, like people change and whatever, you know? So I'm like, yeah, I was pretty stoked how all that turned out. It was a really happy moment for sure.
Yeah, why do you think that people don't do that and people value money more?
I think it's the comfort zone, and also people are afraid. People are afraid to be broke. People are afraid to, you know, not being able to, I don't know, just do the basic necessities, and also like just planning. It's just like people need a structure. People need a structure to work within, you know, and going outside that structure just makes them feel fearful, you know.
But
and
I think it's a budget thing mostly.
Yeah,
probably because like
work time.
We always
work
go.
time, yeah.
We always go like out of budget always.
Yeah,
we
bro.
Just figuring
like
out.
after this summer, both of us are like pretty much broke.
It's like, I paid for your flight ticket, and you were just you were hooking up with the food. And
we made it work together, right? That's like, that's where me and Curly get really along, and I'm really grateful for our friendship, because like that's unique, I feel, because also like we are like, how do you say it, like contractors. So we like, if we want some free time and we have some extra cash, we can decide on a dime to go, you know?
Yeah, but you see that reaction just there, you guys just laughing about the fact that you spent too much money. Like that's one of the best things in life, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but also like like we talk about security. Like I feel like, and this is where Curly comes in as well. Like both of us are secure in what we can do, right? Because we're both creators, and we know we can easily get work by being creators. And like whatever money we spend, we can make it up. You know, it's not that a scary place to be in. You know,
yeah, you spend it and you just figure it out.
Yeah, right. I think
that's like the step people have to take.
Yeah, getting outside their comfort zones for sure. Mm-hmm. Without a doubt.
I think we just don't put into perspective like how short life can be truly, you know?
Yeah.
Like we're always trying to put things
people don't realize that this opportunity isn't going to be there. Like there isn't another one like this, you know?
100%. And I think like always, I feel like, you know, you're really left out here.
Yeah.
He's a good listener.
Yeah, I was not a part of the Mykonos trip.
He got an invite. David got an invite, but like he had all company to run. You know, that's responsibilities. You know, exactly. I think they hold you back when you want to do things. You know,
is it responsibilities or is it me just missing life? Or
hey, I mean, I feel like it's justifiable. For example, I wouldn't get mad at you for like, nah, bro, I've got like 6 gigs booked for my company that has like all these employees. Like that's just like you put yourself in a position where you just can't do that. And I feel like that's fair, right? But that's what you choose to do, and that's your choice. And I respect that. I really do. I don't get mad at that, but I get mad at stuff like when people are just
I'm not like crying myself to sleep while I do it and just like feeling bad about it. Obviously, then I wouldn't be doing it,
right?
Because I'm happy to do it, and the choices I make are my choices, and I'm happy to make those choices.
For sure, absolutely.
But obviously, you always have to dial it back a little bit, and remember, like, you're only gonna be 26
which is speaking of, sorry to grab you there, but like speaking of friendship, this is the influence that I've had on you as a person. Like I've pushed so hard for you to like, yo bro, you're working so hard, you're doing great, like you need to do something for yourself, you need to come fucking send it with the homies, you need these life experiences, because like before you know it, bro, you'll be old and your body's not able to do these things anymore, and you'll be like, fuck, where did the time go? You know, you don't want to like, you want to fucking like, you can like make so much money when you're fucking old. Like there's enough time to make money and be
honestly,
secure.
I don't think it's about money even. I think it's more about, you know, the stability that you were talking about.
Right.
Because I think when you're like not used to the stability, and then and you don't have stability, and then you acquire stability by yourself sometime in your life, I think it gets way harder to let that go.
Yeah.
You know?
So not to come at you, David, or anything, but that's a decision made out of fear, right? Because you're afraid of losing that stability, right?
I mean,
so that's why you lean too heavily to that spot, right?
Definitely, yeah.
I have a really good way to put this.
Yeah.
Something that helped me my whole life, because I'm very like you, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think like this was a big way of me to be able to understand life, was like I have this thing where I compartmentalize the three aspects of human life in modern society now, right? We have a soul, which is like very hard to describe in words what that may be, and it's different for everyone, but that kind of is connected to our purpose, which like maybe it's a higher source or an intelligence. Some people call it God, some people call it nature, whatever that is. There's like a stream of information coming through that. That's one whole aspect of our life. And then we have our character, which is our flesh suit. You know, it likes to run, eat, swim, fuck, dance, laugh, all these things. That's the things that make us unique. And then we have an avatar. An avatar is simply a character that we play within the modern society. So for you, that's like this businessman that does this production stuff and whatever else you're doing. For me, that's like this content creator that runs this business and that. If we can't understand that that is in a linear fashion, so our soul can communicate to our character to tell our character what it needs to do, right, which will make it happen. But also it goes one step further. Our character communicates to our avatar to tell it, hey, I need you to do this for me so that I can live a fulfilled life.
Yeah.
Sometimes in life, we get stuck in one of those realms. Most of the time it's stuck in the avatar.
Yeah.
And we create this like avatar or this character to serve us, but then we become serving it.
Exactly.
And I think like a way to really put this into perspective is, you know, a lot of us get organization tools and productivity tools like journaling or writing out what we want to do or our goals or something like that. But how often do we break it into what am I doing today for my soul? What am I doing today for my character? And what am I doing today for my avatar?
Yeah.
Like that is a really important thing to be like, okay, I need to give equal amounts of time to my soul and my character and my avatar to be able to have a well-balanced, holistic life.
Exactly.
Because making wealth, especially as a male, to being able to protect and provide for a family or for a partner is one of the most important things as a man. Like we need to have that on tap. But we also need to be good at communication and relationships. We need to have a purpose and a spirituality. We need to have our health in check. So all of this can only come when we balance, you know? And I think that we always have to reevaluate if our avatar, which is something that we create with intention, with purpose, with clarity, with strategy, is that still serving me? And if it's not, how do I make the changes so that I can do that? Because like, I think everyone can give you their perspective and everyone can tell you, oh, you should have done that. You should have done this.
Yeah, you should have. Yeah, you should have.
And like, maybe you should have, but also like, you know you more than you.
Exactly.
Or more than them, I mean. So like...
More than Alex.
Yeah. And like, obviously friends should be there to question you.
Yeah.
And to make you think like, okay.
Keep you honest. Keep you honest.
You definitely need people to challenge you in all those aspects.
I feel like you've done a good job like getting them out there. Because like when we go at it, you go at it hard. And you work hard as well.
Yeah.
Like just Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
And I feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's when David commits, you know, you're always like, oh, I'm so glad David's committing here to having fun. You're like, oh, good for David, you know, you're always happy, you know, because David has a good time. David knows how to have a good time and it's always a pleasure to see. And like, you're so happy for him, right? But yeah, so those things you're speaking of now, like, is that what you speak about in your men's retreat? Can you please tell us what the men's retreat is and what you get up to there?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, the men's retreat pretty much... I mean, like, let's look at society right now. Like, we're in a pretty twisted and corrupted world. Like, a lot of the way that society is...
It's a jungle.
Yeah, it's a crazy jungle. And I personally believe that a lot of the reasons and the issues behind today's society and its failing discussed is because men are weak. And I'm saying that knowing that I was a weak man once too. I think when you weaken men, you strengthen women in the wrong way, because like polarity is really important. And if a man can't be a man, then a woman will step up and be the man. And then we have,
which is what society is pushing for right now. That everybody's talking about is a positive change.
Right. There's a bit of a push there, because also we have a presence of toxic masculinity, and that word is thrown around like
it's become a slogan at this point for everything. Yeah.
And it's making it very confusing for men, and it's making it very confusing for women, and it's making it very confusing for life.
I feel for the youngins that are like growing up, and like you remember when you were younger, you're like lost, just looking for purpose, and now thinking like I think it's very hard for the teenagers, the teenage guys, the teenage boys to sort of figure out all these things with like this toxic masculinity slogan being thrown around. Like it's probably terribly hard for them to make out what the fuck is going on here, you know?
Yeah, it's like a diet trend, you know? Like, what are you going to do? Paleo, vegan, carnivore? like who knows, man?
Yeah.
The information's crazy.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much just a call of like, shit, we need men to be men, and the best way to have men be men is men supporting men. And you know, initially you're like, oh, it sounds a bit gay. But like realistically, we need it more than ever. And in a time where masculinity is under siege, like it's so important. So pretty much what we do is we try and cover the bases of like the foundations of what it means to be like an activated man. So the retreats are called Activated Men. We pretty much dive into like a few topics. The first one, we kind of get there and we fight. So whether that be MMA or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or boxing or something like this, like
right. Just for the listeners, that like what you're explaining is like there's a couple of teachers, I guess, in a group, and they invite people for a retreat. So a couple of 10, 20, 30 people come, and it's like a couple of day seminars, things that you go through, like how do you say it? Gym, fighting, and all this stuff. So that's
it's one day.
Well, it's one day.
And it's at your house, right?
It's at my house, yeah.
Great. Okay, yeah. And sorry,
and
continue.
It's not really teachers. It's like everyone's equal.
Right.
Because we have like a bit of a high level crew. Like,
it's a bit of a guru thing though, right? You're a bit of a guru there. Come on.
Man.
Be honest. Be honest.
No chance. Everyone adds value. Like some people there are dominating that avatar aspect of life.
Right.
And they have millions of dollars, multi-millions of dollars.
But their personal relationship is shit.
Relationship. Yeah. Or they might like not be good at communication, or they might be really unhealthy. Other people might be like a health absolute weapon, you know, that's been biohacking and has like longevity on tap, but maybe they just can't sort the finance piece. And then we have some people that like just come for the sexology aspect of things, like because we don't learn that. We learn it in a really twisted, fucked up way in high school.
Yeah, and porn isn't really helping.
Porn's the worst thing a dude can ever do.
Right.
So it's like we cover all the topics. So we basically have a sexologist come in, talk about masculine, feminine polarity, talk about how to please a woman and like properly identify a yoni. Like we pass around like a puppet pussy, essentially. And then like,
dude, that sounds so fucking funny and weird, bro.
Yeah, and like a sexologist will stand in the front and she'll go through like the anatomy of a woman and like how to please her. You know, a woman can have 7.
It's still so beautiful though, like having like these guys want to learn and they want to be good at this aspect of life, and they're just here to like, it's a vulnerable thing to admit like, hey, I want to learn. I'm not perfect at this.
Well, do you know that a woman can have 7 different types of orgasms?
No, absolutely not. That's an amazing fact.
And like there's cervical orgasms, which require like a lot of stamina from a guy.
To be honest, I only thought there were 2. I think there was the top one and then, you know, the one that goes in. That's my education. That's my educated opinion on that.
See, you need to come to my men's retreat, bro.
I really do. I'd love to go there.
Yeah. So yeah, we cover all different topics. And I think that when it's like this guru thing is what we're trying to break. Like everyone has a say.
Right.
And of course we have speakers like last time our friend Jono, who actually took Elon Musk on a DMT trip, came and spoke about tech and AI. He's an early investor of like Airbnb and Twitter and Facebook.
Shit.
He's like $1 billion venture capital company.
Jesus.
So we get like just really cool, interesting people to come and talk about subjects that are taboo. Like no one talks about money or how to get rich together.
Right.
except for the Jewish, they're really good at it.
That's why I think that's why people like other communities sort of despise them. There's some sort of jealousy there towards the Jewish community, I feel.
Yeah, but they're doing an amazing thing.
They're like there's like a bro code there. They're like a team. They work together as a team, you know?
Like how good if I need to get something done, I get you to be the production company behind it.
Right.
And if I need someone to go out and shoot organic lifestyle content, you do that.
Right.
And if I need someone to manage TikTok, you do that.
Yeah.
Some renegade.
Keep it in the circle, you know, because
everyone is just in their own corner, just trying to do their own thing.
And they don't want to get their friends involved because they're like, oh, I don't want to pay them fully, and I want to jip them, and this, that, and the other. Like,
and also jealousy, ego. There's so much that divides people when they're actually stronger together.
100%. So yeah, pretty much. The day run is get there. We do a little sharing circle, so everyone just kind of tells their story, what they've been through. Pretty much whatever they want to share. Maybe some people just tell us what they're good at.
Right.
But a lot of people get pretty vulnerable at the start, you know, like dudes are yearning to have a space to be able to just share what's on their mind.
Yeah. Because being vulnerable and intimate for a man isn't something that is regular. I think it's irregular. I think only like a very few % of men actually do have that in their daily lives.
Yeah. And I think for a dude, like, you know, we are trying to hold space for everyone else.
Right.
So unless the environment says this is time to open up and be vulnerable, well, as a man, like it's probably not. You know, it's probably the time to man the fuck up and be there for your family and be there for your partner and hold yourself like a stoic tree.
Right.
Like the way that I talk about it is like, you know, if your girlfriend wants to scream at you, your job as a man is to stand there like a fucking tree and absorb it, and she can hit you and slap you, and you just stand there and nod and hold center. Just hold stoicism.
Right.
They're emotional beings, man. They're going to outburst. Like, of course, they feel much more than we feel.
Yeah.
And then at some stage, just like if she was going to be screaming at a tree, she would then go back to it later, give it a big hug and be like, thanks for just being there for me.
Right.
And I think like as a man, we need to do that.
Feels like you're condoning abuse there, but like, you know, I get what you're saying though, but it's a bit like.
That's a soft response, bro.
Yeah, it is.
I get what you're saying.
One more time, Alex.
I feel like, you know, I get what you're saying. Like in an environment where that's like, you know, but like, I feel like someone could interpret what you're saying as like, yo, bro, you should just, if your girl's being a fucking toxic bitch and treating you like shit, you should just take it. I don't really agree with that. I feel like when someone's being emotional, and I think that's what you're getting at. When someone's having someone's having an emotional experience, you need to like be a man and absolutely stand your ground and be steady and be a center for those emotional feelings that are going up and down.
100%.
I think I just wanted to clarify that for the people listening, because like
I think it's important to have honor. And you have to honor yourself
for sure.
But for sure, like, you know, you need to be a pillar of stoicism. And support and a network.
But also like relationships vary. So like what works for
complex.
Of course, people are different. But what's the energy like on those retreats? It must be intense. Like
man, it's full on. So after the share, you know, everyone's feeling a bit vulnerable and fishy, and
then you fight.
So we fight. We punch on. And we just get the egos out of the room.
Yeah.
Like the last one we did, after we punched on, we did the circle where literally you just stood there and copped a punch, and it got harder and harder and harder, and you just tapped out when you want to tap out.
Jeez.
And then eventually, like, it gets down to one, and then there's one winner.
Right.
And then, you know, like, he gets like a bunch of like different products and stuff as winning, and a good network of support. And then we do like a really primal workout, like tapping back into our primal nature.
Right.
So we do like some weird shit, like stand in front of each other and just primal scream.
Right.
Like, which, how often do you do that? Like,
Never
do you stand in front of a guy and just scream? But that actually is scientifically proven to increase your testosterone.
Yeah, I bet it does. I bet it does.
And the job,
I feel good when I scream, you know?
And the job for the partner is to stand there, and that guy can be as angry as he wants. And your job is to just try and be as calm as you can be.
Right.
Because a lot of masculinity and a lot of what makes masculinity toxic is we are reactive.
Right.
So, you know, in the same example of, you know, your missus like going crazy, like you get angry that she's getting angry, and you get defensive and personal about whatever she's talking about.
Right.
And then you scream at her and you say a bunch of shit that you wish you didn't say.
Right.
And then you walk away like a fucking loser.
Which is probably a very common trait in relationships who aren't really good at communicating or figuring stuff out together, for sure.
Yeah, so we do a few practices like that. Like in the ice bath, you know, the first thing I say to the boys is like, all right, boys, like, you know, toxic masculinity has been thrown around like crazy, and we want you to be an animal. We want you to be able to get angry. We want you to be able to fight, protect, provide all these things, but you need to know when is right. And you need to just be the most stoic person ever.
Right. Sounds like a quote from who was it? Jordan Peterson. He said I think he was on some podcast. He said you should be an animal, but you should know how to contain it. You know. Yes. So you're an animal, but you're like stoic and you control it, and you're emotionally regulated, right? Yeah. Which I think when I heard that quote, it really popped off and went viral, and I think a lot of men were like, oh shit, you know, that's something, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember, I thought that was really insightful. I mean, obviously Jordan Peterson is like a wildly known public speaker at this point. I think most people who are listening know who he is. And I thought that was I think it's pretty much the same thing that you're getting into, right?
Yeah, but we just do practices. So like when we get in the ice bath, the guys do like a 6-minute ice bath. Some do 15 minutes, and we're talking like a proper ice bath. You know, the masculine response is like, once you get in the ice, I'm like, get it, brother. Look.
Yeah. Dude, I'm like that. I'm a shouter.
You got 30 grown men, you know? But what we say is like, everyone go dead silence. And that person has to try and find the calmness within the chaos inside of his mind, you know? So what you can do is you can go up to him, put your hand on his shoulder and whisper in his ear, like, keep going, brother, you got this. But it's like a very centered place because that's a big part of masculinity. But yeah, so many little like things in the day that we go through and like practices that we just, my friend Julian, who's I'm here with now, who you met, like he runs it as well. And we just spend so much time talking about like masculinity and like what is needed. So then we kind of go in after that and we do like the sexology talk, or we might have a tech talk, AI, how that's shaping the world, investments, real estate. We go into like health. We get a biohacker in, like a guy who works with Kelly Slater and all these professional athletes and talks about like the best ways to keep your body in shape and healthy.
Right.
And then, we kind of go into like relationships and communication, and we eat a bunch of good food. And then we do like a big breathwork session at the end. It's like 3 hours long, and it naturally releases DMT into your brain, which gives you like a bit of a psychological release.
Right.
So, you know, you can hear guys screaming, crying. Like it's a like full on environment to be in.
Sounds culty. It's a bit like, let's be honest, like a bunch of guys screaming, getting releases, you know, and like being a bit wild. Like you can, like, I think about, I'm just trying to like think from the like audiences and listeners' perspective. They're probably like, fuck, man, this really sounds like a cult, but it's not.
I feel like most of the guys would do it though.
Yeah, you think so? They'd get into this?
Yeah.
Can I ask how much a ticket costs for maybe people who are listening who might want to like? I think a lot of guys are like listening to you and like really getting great insight here, and might want to like get into it.
Yeah.
So
it's
like
super cheap, man. We made it entry level cheap. Like we hardly make any money from this.
Right.
But it's $333.
Right.
Aussie. Okay. Which is about $250 US.
Right.
220 or something like that, I guess.
30,000 kronor cirka.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
very nice.
It starts at 8 a.m. and it finishes at about 10 p.m.
Right.
It's just at my house. Like, you know, if you put the cost together, you know, we pay all the people who come, the breathwork guy. Yeah. We pay all the speakers. Yeah. Like, it doesn't financially make any sense.
So you're pretty much just doing this as a non-profit almost, and to help people. So
pretty much, yeah.
And that's pretty much, that's probably what's giving you the most fulfillment, obviously, doing this.
I need it as much as they need it.
Right.
You know, like I'm surrounded by men that are on the journey to better themselves, to try and be the best men that they can be in a society that men and masculinity is under attack, you know? And like, it's trendy now to be bettering yourself, but like how much are we actually practicing it? And how much are we talking about it in our friendships and stuff like that? It's just so non-existent.
Very true. I don't think many male friend groups are really addressing any of these things between them.
Yeah.
I think it's a fucking...
And we're so much stronger together.
Without a doubt.
Like, if we just sit down and like, I'm sure, you know, you and I haven't got to connect that much, but if we sat down and spoke about business, like, you know, you could give me amazing value, I could too. You spoke about health, you can give me amazing value, I can too. You tell me what issues you're going through, I can tell you perspectives that I've been through that you've never been through, vice versa. Right. And same with you boys. Like if we just opened up a panel right now where we all just spoke about shit that's going on in our life and we spoke about our perspectives of how we've fixed that, already we would be 10 times better.
Agreed. Can you give Curly and David a free ticket?
100%.
Great.
Yeah, 100%. You got a free ticket too.
I want to pay for mine. I want to support the cause.
Dick move.
What? Yeah. We can't. All right.
I'm just kidding.
But we have to go someday.
I would love, to be honest, like, not to sound like douchey or anything, but I would go just to see how you are.
Well,
because I feel like
it's not something I want to do, like stand in front of a dude and scream.
No, that's what I'm
scream at him.
saying. Because like of all my friends, I know that you would be the least interested to really do something like that, or like not least interested, just least comfortable with it. You know,
probably.
Because that's why it'd be you, and definitely like you're like out so far out your
But
comfort zone.
I was kind of like in a cult. Back in the day.
You were? What? Wait, where's this going?
Swipe.
Oh, right.
Like, I did a whole bunch of weird stuff.
Oh my
It's kind
God.
of like the inverted version of like what you were talking about,
Jesus.
man.
Yeah.
He's referencing ad agency that he used to work with, and it got pretty weird at moments because like the head of the agency, he was really into, I don't know, mushrooms,
Self-improvement stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
and maybe
But it was like
it was too much.
It was like sometimes good weird, but like screaming at someone, that's good weird. You know, like you don't want to do it, but it's probably good for you.
I don't want to shit on other people doing like men's retreat stuff, but I will say one thing. A lot of these like self-proclaimed men's coaches and life coaches have achieved fuck all. No offense.
Right.
And then they just like go ahead and try and be like a coach because they couldn't do it themselves. And I think this is a different thing with what we're going on is like both Julian and I, who I run it with, like Julian runs like a very, very successful like mushroom business,
Right.
like a legal one.
Right. Yeah. It's not.
Just to clear that up.
It's not mushrooms as narcotics. It's mushrooms as
He
health
essentially
products.
pioneered the space of
Right.
mushrooms, which is booming right now.
Right. It's a health supplement. Right.
Exactly,
That's the right term for it.
Yeah,
And
so
then-
it's not psychedelic as most people.
No,
maybe
no.
Isn't
think
it just
about
mostly
mushrooms.
just oil you put in your mouth?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like mushrooms have been used in like
All sorts of ways.
medicine for thousands of years.
And parties.
And parties, yeah.
And
But,
I saw you showed me his page of the product. I saw that Joe Rogan followed his account.
Yeah, man. Like Joe
That's
Rogan talks about it all the time.
Yeah, he's really high on it. I mean, as in like, there's absolutely no pun intended. But like, he has a high opinion on the product. He says and I saw I remember I saw this clip of him talking about it. And I was like, oh man, fuck! If I had that product and Joe Rogan is co-signing it on the podcast, like I really like your company must explode. Like then, did he get like a fucking boom in sales when that happened or what? Because I feel like Joe Rogan, like when it comes to that part of like the conversation, when it comes to health supplements, if he co-signs it, like he says you should do this, I feel like he can wave a
And
fucking
he didn't even
wand.
pay for that. He didn't even pay for any of that. Joe Rogan just literally loves the product.
Right.
And this is where he's had so much success. Is he's pioneered the space of mushrooms, and he's like got a team of scientists that's constantly evolving. And he was in there years before mushrooms were hot.
Right. Yeah.
And he just knew. He was just like, nah, this is like the next CBD, you know?
Right.
So to go back to where we're at, like, he doesn't need to do this activated man thing.
Right.
He's a weapon at business. He's got an amazing relationship with his partner.
Yeah. He's a smart guy.
His health he's around biohacking. He's all that kind of stuff. And for me, like I don't make any of my money there. I got like digital agencies and stuff where I'm making my money.
Yeah.
So like we don't need to do it, which is where it's attracted such a sick crew.
Right.
Like people that are just high achievers come.
Right.
And of course there's some people that maybe aren't achieving highly in any of those spaces, but the guys that are high achieving, they just want to lift them up.
Right.
And there's like a solid crew that just return every single time that add so much value. That are just like, yeah, I'm here. Like Drew, and one of the guys who comes to a lot of them, like he's got like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of property and he's just playing the real estate game in Australia like a weapon.
Right.
And sometimes he just gets up and does a panel and just does it like, we're just like, you do a panel.
Right. And that panel's probably worth fucking like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And he's paying for a ticket.
Right.
And then
that's
like,
so cool, man. That is the coolest thing.
One of my other homies, like Sydney, who ran an MMA session before, like he paid for a ticket. And then Taliesin, who's the world champion Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like got sick and it was right before his fight. And he's like, I got to rest. So Sydney's like, I'll do an MMA class.
Right.
And it's just like, so that, there's no teachers, it's no cult. It's just like everyone's coming together, just being like, let's just be better men.
So epic.
How can you scale this up? I feel like this is such a positive thing for men, especially today. How like this? I feel like a lot of men need this. You know, I feel like this is a good move. You know, how does this get bigger? Has this, or maybe does this only function on a smaller scale, like you're doing it? You know, within your hands and your friends' hands. You know, is that maybe? Yeah.
Do it, bro. Like you know, like. The people who don't want to do it, just get them to come and do it. Like, I'm sure you guys know the coolest people in Iceland. Like all it takes is just like for me and Jules, it was like we have such a sick network.
Right.
And our community in Australia is like the craziest people ever. You know, like we're getting a guy to come talk about AI that took Elon Musk on a DMT trip. Like we're talking people that have serious impact on the world.
That's a serious flex. That is.
It's a serious flex. Like
a DMT with Elon Musk. Jesus.
Yeah, like. And he's, you know, like got some crazy stories and I can't even start talking about him to put him into perspective. But that's just one of the amazing people in our network that have so much value to come and share. And it's just like every day we just get different people. It's like, and you just open that space and that environment. Like dudes need it. Like we need to just talk about shit. We need to flesh our shit out because if we have a good crew of people that are just genuinely there to help us be better men, everyone's got a perspective that can help. And as long as like as hosts, you're like leading it in the right direction, making sure it doesn't get culty, making sure no one's trying to sell their products, making sure like all this stuff's kind of happening and the vibes are right.
That it's pure.
Then
and honest.
That's what we just need. Because yeah, like we're all living busy lives and we never want to take that time for self-development, but just a one-day activation to keep the sword sharp is really important.
Right.
So scalability is
when's the next retreat?
Yeah, well, we've had a bit of a hiatus for a couple of months because Jules and I have been traveling around separately and together. Like did Mongolia and stuff recently, and yeah, I was in Bali for a bit, and he was going to America and stuff. So we've actually had a few months off. But I think October, when we get back, probably just open the doors up and go again.
I didn't know that Julian was with you in this. It's kind of, it's kind of interesting to think. I didn't really get it, but like now I get it, you know?
Yeah, well, we live in the same house, you know?
Yeah.
Jules is the reason that I got stuck in Byron Bay.
Right.
Yeah.
Sick. Yeah, great. I mean, I think...
Let's get a men's retreat here in Iceland.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Somewhere out in the countryside or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and trying to drag those people that are doing all the cacao ceremonies and mushroom ceremonies and like, guys, you don't want to get lost in there, man. Come, you know, come do some real shit.
Scream. Let's
scream without any, how do you say it? Without any influential supplements, you know? Right? Am I shitting on them too hard or what?
No.
I mean, I think mushrooms can be good for society, but there's a place and time for that.
Yeah.
And to find the right person to guide that journey, like, you know, is important as
maybe,
well.
Maybe we can finish up with the conversation there because like every person that I know that has like been in these sort of, you know, situations with these gurus or shamans and all this stuff, like I get it. There are some legit groups probably out in the world that really do great work with ayahuasca and all these things. But like every person that I've spoken to, every single person, and there are a couple, I think there are like 5 or 6 that have been a part of these cacao ceremonies or mushroom ceremonies. Now they're going to come at me for this. They are. And
watch out.
They've always talked shit about it. They always said like it's a cult, it's fucking off, and the gurus or the head, whoever's like, it's just like not it, you know, not really here for like everybody's experience. It's there's an ego in there and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh, man, I feel so bad because I think a lot of people that are dealing with internal struggles, especially mentally, they look to go to these places to find peace. And what do they find? Drugs and people who have big egos who don't have the right intentions, you know? And I'm like, I mean, this is a very, like, there are probably a lot of people who are enjoying their time there and they're doing
I feel like you have to try it out if you're going to shit on it.
Yeah, you're right. 100%. But the thing is, like, I was kind of hoping, like, when I speak to the people that have been a part of these communities and doing this stuff, like, I'm always hoping, like, oh, man, like, I'm hoping they'll tell me, like, it did great. We're like, I'm like, I lost a person died in my life and I did that and it really helped. Like I want to hear these stories, but none of them have anything positive to say. So I'm forced to be like, all right, so it sounds pretty shit, but maybe, I don't know.
I think it's probably just the people you talk to.
Maybe.
They just went to the wrong, like, what do you call it, shasham?
There can't be that many.
But I know one, and he's pretty good.
Yeah? Have you been? Yeah? You did some stuff?
Yeah, maybe.
All right, share the experience.
But it was fun.
Yeah, it was good.
It's not like life-changing, but I had a good time.
Look, I'm glad to hear that. Like, you're the first positive.
Sorry, Mom.
I'm so glad to hear that, man. I really am.
I think Messiah complex is real.
That's the thing. That's what I catch the most. Like people thinking they become like a god and they're like overlords of these people. I hear this all the time. This is an aspect of that shit. And I fucking hate it. Cause like, that's just the narcissistic like heaven or like, that's a narcissist heaven to like have power over people.
But
that fucking fucks with me.
Let's not put like plant medicine in the same category as drugs.
Yeah. You're right.
This stuff's been used for hundreds of thousands of years throughout like indigenous cultures that, had life and had purity and had connectedness really sorted out. And in a world right now where we're very separated and divided, we have very little connection and it's getting even worse with TikTok and stuff like this. Like we have horrible communication skills and we have absolutely no connection to ourselves. Mushrooms have a good place in that.
Yeah.
They actually really do. And I think that what mushrooms are doing actually in your brain is increasing the randomness in firing. And that's really important. So basically what's happening from a neurological point of view is as an adult, what starts happening is we start growing these like neurological patterns that get stronger and stronger and stronger every time we fire them. And when we fire them, that could be something really horrible. Like for example, let's say you went through a trauma of a really bad breakup, a chick cheated on you so much and destroyed your whole life. Every time you go to interact with a woman, you are fearful of that. You're in trauma of that and all this stuff you're carrying around like baggage. Your brain doesn't know how to think any differently because you've been thinking like that for 10 years now. So that neurological pattern is just firing and firing and firing. When you take mushrooms, it increases the randomness in firing. So you're just going to randomly not fire that pattern, which is the same reason why you're sitting in nature and you're fascinated by the veins in a leaf, but you've sat in that same spot 100 times, but now you notice a million different things. That's really important. And that actually is mimicking what our brain is doing when we're a child. So when we're children, we're fascinated by our surrounding worlds. We're present. And
sponges.
In a world where we're not present, like right now, we're very distracted by absolutely everything. Our brain is over-consuming the fuck out of everything. We need mushrooms and we need plant medicine and we need things that are going to connect us and bring us together as people. And that sounds a bit like, oh, that's so cliche, but we do. And I think for sure there can be some people that are abusing that and trying to be some messiah and think they're better than the rest and all that kind of stuff.
I've heard a lot of those stories.
And it's really important to find the right person to guide that.
Yeah, but how can you know when you're like 20 something years old, right? And you're just like, you don't really know the sides of people, right. And you get into these situations and like you end up being fucking traumatized by it. But I don't want to get too dark with it. David, I want to ask, would you ever do mushies?
Sure.
Yeah? You think you'd get into that?
Definitely need
a little
bit of more random and a little bit less boxes and compartmentalize.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go.
Curly, sorry, like I don't know if you want to
throw it out there.
It's because you and me have been open. Like you've been open with me about this stuff, and you really like mushies, and like you
you can't say it like that.
Yeah, I know. But you've indulged in the mushroom experience, right? Yeah. You've tried it a couple of times and you really like the effects that it has on you. Do you think it helps you be a better person or cope better with the human experience?
Yeah, I guess so. That's why I take it.
Yeah.
That's why I do it again. But it's just like what you were saying. Like I would have never been doing some nature stuff last night if it wasn't for the mushies.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was really fun last night. Yeah. The thing is, like, I think the only things that I actually would do, although I've been very clear with never taking anything through the stomach. That was always my rule when I was like a fucking teenager and an absolute fucking mess of a person, like fighting downtown and just doing drugs and shit like that. I was always very like, no, nothing to the stomach, because I felt like if it goes to the stomach, like it's gonna be in your system for so long, right? So I was like, yeah, cocaine's great, you know, because that's just right through here, straight to the thing, that's fine. That was my strange rule, and I've sort of like kept that rule, like even though I don't even like I haven't touched drugs in like fucking 15 years, something 10 years. I'm still now like even the thought of taking mushrooms, like, oh no, not through the stomach, But like after talking to you and I think a couple other people who like, especially when microdosing came on the scene, I was like really curious to sort of, that was the only thing that because I'm really against drugs. I don't do anything like that. Like I think I like to be clear. I like to be in reality. I like to be focused, And I feel like, all sorts of drugs, they have an effect on that. And I already have ADHD. I have a tougher time already fucking being focused on life and just figuring shit out, right?
Yeah.
So, but like mushrooms are the only thing where I'm like, that might be a door that I will open someday if I ever decide, but I'd take it so slow, and I'd definitely not do it with any fucking random gurus in a fucking house in Iceland or Reykjavik, dude. I'd absolutely not do that. Hell no.
Everything can be abused, man, even water. You can kill yourself by drinking too much water, like let's not bash the substance, but I think that mushrooms have a good place. Like everyone has a different healing journey and different needs and has gone through a different life, so yeah, it's a tricky subject because you don't want to also go out and condone like everyone take mushrooms, because I think like that can also cause really fucked up damage to people.
Yeah, because there are a lot of addicts, that will definitely,
I don't think it's addicts. Like you can go into psychosis, like, and that's no joke. And that just means that I'll always say to my friends, like, and I'm not condoning mushrooms, but I'll say to my friends like, I think you are holding things under the rug. So for example, like if you have gone through a lot of shit and you just keep pushing everything under the rug, mushrooms bring everything to the surface. And that can be really, really bad. But in most scenarios, that coming to the surface will be good. Do you know what I mean? Because you have to face it. And yes, it's going to be really challenging. It's going to be a bad trip. But you're going to get rid of that and you're going to have to change that and be a better person, which is really positive. But if you have a lot of trauma and you just eat heaps of mushrooms, like, and you have the wrong people around you, the wrong environment, like the wrong setup. Like it's gonna be full on.
I agree. You have to go like super slow if you're gonna go into anything.
100%.
And like like you said before, like people don't know where to go.
Right.
And
And you sort of, I think you automatically like trust these groups because they've done it before and they know, and they tell you that they know what they're doing.
Yeah. But it's like, just my advice: don't do it.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! Cut that out.
I think we're definitely gonna like upset a lot of people in the Icelandic community because I don't think they've accepted this sort of lifestyle.
I think most of the people have, but they just don't speak about it.
Yeah, it's that's what I'm referring to. It's still taboo. Like I think a lot of people are like accepting it, but they're not being public with their exception, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's great that we're speaking about this publicly and giving our opinions on this, especially you, Matt.
Super illegal. That's amazing. Let's all go to jail together.
Yeah, I mean, since we're on the subject, we might edit this out. We'll see what we do. You tried some Icelandic mushrooms yesterday.
Surely we're not going to hit that.
Yeah, story. I mean, why not? Why not go there? I think it's a good story. Oh well, it was just a pleasant experience because I was with you guys, and it was you didn't take too much. It was just a light thing,
Yeah.
Went to some secret hot springs and had a nice experience.
Yeah, I have a theory with mushies.
Yeah.
If they get a lot of sunlight, they're usually like a brighter, happier experience. If they're like underground, like Amsterdam truffles, they're usually a bit darker and thicker and heavier, which doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Yeah.
But, I personally just like sunshine and light things a little bit better.
Yeah, of course.
But other people like to just work through the shadow stuff.
What were the Icelandic mushrooms like?
To add on this theory, I heard about the theory about Icelandic mushrooms is that we have had such a terrible, traumatic life here on Iceland. This weather has been like the most terrible you can imagine. We've had volcanoes destroying the whole communities and storms wiping out like 70% of the population and disease and everything, just destroying everything. And it all sets down into the ground here in Iceland. And then when
the hard life that we lived at a point. Yeah.
And then when you take the Icelandic mushrooms, you get a taste of all that trauma. And all of that horrible life that has been here.
Interesting. So what you're saying is they're on the darker side of the mushroom spectrum.
Definitely, yeah.
Interesting. Curly, do you agree with this?
No.
Yeah.
No.
You took some last night. What are they like compared to the Australian?
I honestly did think, okay, there's not as much sunlight here. They're going to be like a little bit thicker.
Mm.
So I just went easy, you know, like I was like, okay, like someone said this is the dose and I divided it by 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Old me would have just been like, give me double, you know. But this new version of me was like, okay, give me a quarter of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really light and fun and like present, and we just like, you know, just felt the need to ground, and we just like rubbed mud sulfur like mud.
We would have done it either way.
Let's put up a picture of the boys. It's kind of a wild photo,
but that was yeah.
Yeah, and we were just like, to be honest,
I feel like this is gonna get headline news, Curly. You're gonna get murdered.
But
to be honest, we just had good conversations.
Yeah.
About life.
Yeah, your vibe was nice, and I have to say, like, I don't really like when I'm around friends who get high. I don't really enjoy their company because they're just high, and I'm just like, we're not connecting, we're not being present with each other. But like being with you guys yesterday, you felt so present, and it was so nice. I wasn't like annoyed at all. I was just like, you guys were having a good time. You were very much here, taking everything in. I was just like, it was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure, which really showed me like mushrooms are different to all the other things. They really shouldn't be considered, I think, in these exact same sort of, I don't know, narcotics, I guess.
Yeah, I always like notice when we're going out and some people are taking some hard drugs, that you like instantly.
I have an immediate reaction. Yeah, dude. If I see some guy that's coked out, I just like, there's something just in me that I just like, oh fuck, no, let's get the fuck out of here, man.
But mushrooms from the earth, man.
Yeah.
I feel also like mushrooms could be like kind of mistakenly like, because in Iceland the only thing I knew about mushrooms was like this one guy jumping off a Smáraland. It's just watching a movie.
That's the story?
Yeah, he was just watching a movie in a theater, and he just like choked, ate too much of the mushrooms, and saw some shit and just jumped down. But he's okay today. Yeah, and that was like the only story I knew about. But that's like, he was probably like overdosing it, like you can do.
Yeah.
And I feel
went
like
a bit too hard.
Yeah, and I feel like most of the people who are doing it are like they just take like small doses.
We're in a backwards culture, bro. Like it's so normal to drink alcohol. In fact, if you go out and you don't drink alcohol, like you literally are weird. People are like, what's wrong with you? You don't drink alcohol. Alcohol literally kills so many people per year. Yeah. And we all know that it destroys our life.
Yeah.
When you take alcohol, a lot of people get angry, they get aggressive, they say things they don't want to say, they punch people they don't want to punch. Yeah. They get themselves into a situation where they regret their night and can't remember it. When people take mushrooms, they laugh and they connect and they have good. We spoke about business and we spoke about ways that like we can help out with different things.
Yeah, I bet Curly really enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah, and we just speak about life and like maybe, okay, sure, you're fascinated by the moss and why it's that color. Curly told me that it takes 100 years to grow that moss.
Yeah.
Like the level of depth and intellect in conversations and experiences when you're on shrooms versus alcohol, it's just like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like people in Silicon Valley are microdosing mushrooms to be better in business.
Right.
So like when we're talking about drugs, like everyone's a fucking drug addict drinking fuckloads of alcohol and judging people that are doing things that better their life in a certain way. And of course, it can have a negative effect.
Yeah,
but so
everybody can abuse any substance, even water.
100%. And I think that like with mushrooms, you know, because they're such a powerful tool, people use them in different ways. I don't know if using them for business purposes is the intentional way that should be done, but it's being done.
Right.
Like, I don't know if using them for partying and having a good time and feeling the like vibes like is the best way to do it, but it's done, you know?
Right.
Like realistically, it's been used throughout history as something that helps with healing and introspection and connecting and stuff like this. And that's what it should be used for. But, you know, I shouldn't say it, but I'm guilty of having a good time on shrooms too, because it's amazing. And it's just fun. Like sex on mushrooms is amazing. It's like one of the best things ever. It's like, you know, sex is something that can be very sacred and special. And often it takes like a long relationship to get to that stage where you actually feel like you're making love in a way, you know?
Right.
Man, you take mushrooms and you have sex with someone, like they are not a stranger anymore, man. Like you can feel the blood like moving through their veins. Like you feel like you are one with them. Like it's this very spiritual experience, you know?
Speaking of love and sex, Matt, tell me about your love life. What let's finish on that. I think we've like
You said it like 5 times.
Yeah. But like, there's so much to get into here.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
let's finish up with your love life before we head out. I think we're clocking 2 hours here by far, probably.
2.5.
2.5. Wow,
Yeah.
longest one yet. Let's finish up with your love life, buddy. Let's get into it. How do you have a girlfriend? Are you single? Are you happily married? Like, what's the situation here?
Yeah, I've got 17 children, 5 wives. I'm single now. I just got out of a funny situation.
Yeah,
I
a
think-
situationship.
I would say it was like a relationship, but she was just a bit of a manipulative person.
Oh,
I think like for the last few years, I was in a very serious long-term relationship when I was young for like 5 years. And then I was in like a couple of like little flings here and there, and I was traveling and having fun. And I just feel like at that time in my life, I was so nomadic that I couldn't be locked down, you know?
You were all about yourself and
I
your
was just, like,
experience.
I was trying to figure out life and chase life and find my own security and contentment and stuff like that. And then, only like recently have I moved into a stage now where I'm like, okay, like, you know, it would be quite nice to have a family and stuff. And that was from this chick that I met who, I dated the sexologist for like a couple of years, which is really good.
You were in an open relationship with her.
Yeah, kind of. Like, yeah, it was just well communicated in a way that, like, you know, my life
Clear boundaries.
it's unique, you know, and like she had a very unique and eccentric life as well. And to be fair, like, you know, dating a sexologist for 2 years, like, sex is pretty banging. So that was amazing.
Did
but
you
also,
try a lot
like,
of new things during
yeah,
your
man, like
relationship
we
with her?
did so many crazy
What's
things.
the most fucked up thing that you guys did?
The most fucked up?
Yeah.
It was more beautiful and well communicated and like
Strange.
connective
What's
and
the
stuff.
most? All right.
But there's like these different orgasms that you can have. Like one of them actually you can have without touching the person's body.
right?
So there's like this energy center essentially, and like there's a string behind a dude's body that like you can pull and he can like come and shit.
You guys do that?
We did that, and then like we had a lot of like tantric sex, which is just
Wait,
like
I didn't get that one. The string one.
just look it up.
I think it's just literally like a string that's just like.
It's like a invisible string that is like comes out of like like the
I'll Google
between
it.
legs
I'll
of
Google
your
it. Yeah.
head. Yeah, Google it. But also like tantric
Cut to
sex
curly.
into that.
2 minutes later.
Yeah, I mean, I really practice like edging, which as a guy, like, you know,
What-
this is a big topic.
What
in
is edging?
Activated man. But edging is essentially when you get yourself to the point of coming and then stopping and then going again and stopping. And you can edge, like you could fuck 10 times a day as a guy and not come. And, you know, your chick can come like 3, 4, 5 times during sex. And because as men, like our come is actually called life force. Like it's called our jing,
Okay.
essentially. So when we build that up, we get energy that can be moved throughout our body. Like, you know, life force energy, sexual energy is the strongest energy that we have.
Okay.
As women, it's actually healthier to come. Like they're supposed to come. As men, like we're supposed to hold that, which is why, you know, in fighting and stuff, we see like boxers, you know, no sex, no coming, but like a week before the fight, like because they become clear and energized and all this kind of stuff. And every different martial arts, like all kinds of different things have like a different philosophy, which essentially goes into this same thing, which is holding your semen retention, edging, stuff like this. So I did a lot of that when I was with her.
Sorry, just to jump in, edging. I feel like I do that every time. Like,
But then you never
I
come.
could never come. But like the thing is, because when I have sex, I come so fast. I literally need to like I need to, dude. Through my like regular like sex experience for me.
Right.
Like, dude, I'm ready to go within a minute, but so I'm edging at least 5 to 10 times during the whole fucking experience, just so I don't fucking come too soon and embarrass myself, you know?
Right.
So like, so
how
you
often
could
do you
say that
have
I'm an
sex?
edging expert, you know?
How often do you have sex and not come and just leave it there?
Oh, that happens fewer times for sure. That's definitely in, I would say, yeah, very few times. But it does happen on a regular basis. I do sometimes just leave it like there. It's something about like just fucking putting in the work and just pleasuring this person to the utmost degree, and then not, you know, going there yourself. That is just like, sometimes that's even more pleasurable, I think, on a mental level for me.
Right.
But yeah, sorry, continue. Yeah,
well, with that, like there's actually certain science around it, which is like certain ages is supposed to hold it for different lengths. It's like the older you get, the longer you should be holding your semen, and the less you should be releasing it. And for a woman, for like a healthy hormone level and like well-being, like they should be having orgasms like twice a day kind of thing. So, you know, as a guy, that means like you need to start practicing like edging. Like and to have cervical orgasms for a woman, like it takes like 45 minutes to 50 minutes before their cervix actually opens to the point where it's possible for them to have an orgasm. So that guy needs to have like stamina. So he has to practice like edging and stuff.
Or just a good warm up, you know?
No, like penetrative, 45 minutes of penetrative, like constant.
Yeah. Warm up.
Yeah, sure.
No, I mean not having sex, but like warm up in like,
oral.
With
but
with your hands.
That should always
oral.
Be like, I mean, life is foreplay. You know, like for women who are emotional beings, like life is literally foreplay.
Oh, you thought that I was flexing? Oh God, no, yeah, boys, just a warm up.
45 minutes.
Yeah. Boys. I'm glad I cleared up that misunderstanding here for the podcast, so I don't look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But no.
Oh man, our editor better not edit a TikTok of me like, oh yeah, just a warm up.
This is such a great podcast for Alex. I love
He's
the clips.
He's gonna get roasted.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, all right, yeah, sorry, continue.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, I had a lot of good experiences with her, and it left pretty good. I think it's just, for me, I just have too much honor, and my standards are so high.
Right.
That like, if I feel like as a man, like I'm such an honorable person. I'm such like a strong-willed, loyal person that if I say something, like that's just how it will be.
Right.
And if I lay out like, this is our relationship, these are our boundaries, like constantly communicate that, I'm so understanding, but I also just hold my integrity so true.
Right.
So,
which is why I like you a lot.
Yeah.
Those are some, those are values that I also have. Like I'm loyal to the fucking death of me. And it's just like, I feel like it's a very rare quality, you know, when I got to know you, and I was like, oh man, this guy really dedicates himself to his values. It was just like, oh fuck yeah, fucking love that, you know.
Everybody make out?
Should we kiss?
I think so.
Sure.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so with her, like she just got caught up chatting to one of my friends who, to be fair, like dangled a carrot. He's like a multi-millionaire, and like she.
And you're speaking to about the girl that you were dating just now recently, or
no, the sexologist.
Oh, sexologist. She
was amazing. Sorry. We're still really good friends.
Right.
Like, talk to her all the time. Work with her.
Yeah.
Like still to this day.
Yeah.
But like one of these guys that I know, like essentially, like knows the biggest and best sexologist in the world, and just said like, oh, I'm hanging out with her. Do you want me to fly you here? Blah blah blah. Because he has a jealousy thing. And she said no. Like she entertained the conversation for too long.
Right.
And that caused a drama with me and my friends. And I'm just like, nah, that's a boundary. Like my chick can't cause drama. Like, you know, we're supposed to be a team.
Right.
Like going at the world together. So I left that, which was chill. And I just said like, look, like I would be dishonoring myself if I stayed here. I love you. I think you're an amazing person. I'll still be in your life. But now the intimacy is just shut forever kind of thing. Because you just crossed the boundary. And if I allowed that to slit and come back, then that just shows who I am.
Right.
And my level of honor within myself and my integrity. And you don't love that person, and I will hate that person too. So leave it as it is. And then I met this other chick.
This is the last chick you were dating.
This is the last chick. This is the good story
right.
you want. You want it to be here, don't you?
Buckle up, guys.
Buckle up, baby. So yeah, I met this chick. I was just like, because I shoot a lot of tourism in Australia, so I get like yachts and stuff. And she's like a model, and I put out like this thing saying like, the model pulled out for the yacht. Like, does anyone want to come? And a bunch of like artists and like musicians, managers, like just put that out to all of their like model scouting stuff. And I had like, honestly, like probably 200-300 like models hit me up. And I was like, damn, I'm busy. So I kind of just like rounded it down to the people who would fit that look for that boat, which is like a pirate kind of boat.
Right.
It's like this old pirate ship sailing through the Whitsundays, which is like
So you wanted like a pirate-looking chick.
Just something different, like someone that looked like exotic.
Yeah, a bit foreign.
And then I rounded it down to like 5 people or whatever. And yeah, like I called them and one of them just was super lovely on the phone. Because also I'm going to be on the boat with this chick for like 5 days.
Yeah, you want to be able to chill with
I just want to be friendly with her, you know?
For sure.
And then, so I like kind of was like, yeah, cool. Like there was like 2 of them that I couldn't decide between. And then one of them's just like, oh, you know, I'm in the area. I'll come around and just like have a feed or whatever. And we just like see if it's a vibe. And I was like, perfect. Came over, had a feed and we just got talking, whatever. There was a vibe there, but I tried to keep it like, I'm about to work with you.
Yeah, of course.
And then, that kind of went on for a bit. And then we ended up like hitting it off together. And she basically like was this good chick that like, she followed the God, like religion, which I was like, okay.
She said she was like really into God and Jesus and religion.
Like,
all right.
Like it says God first in her bio, which now I know is a red flag.
Right.
But like,
and were you like, I'm ready to find Jesus with you, baby?
Nah, it was just more like, she's young. She's like 21.
Right.
And I was like, okay, like if you follow a religion, it's easy for you to understand that person's morals and values because they fall into this category. And most religions, unless you like get into the cult side of it, like they have beautiful intentions. Like, you know, like God, Christianity, like it's all about light and like following the story of honor and integrity and truthfulness and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, sweet, like you're just trying to find hope in this story, which is not a bad story. I think every religion has like a piece of wisdom that can be shared. So it's just, I was like, cool, that's dope. Like you like God, like that's good, whatever. And yeah,
you didn't find that like a bit conflicting because you're such a non-religious person?
I wouldn't say I'm non-religious. I don't follow a religion hard out. I think that like every religion has wisdom and lessons that can be integrated into our life to be better people. I think that just sometimes they're a little bit twisted, like, and they go a bit too extreme because man comes in and tries to take ownership and control. You know what I mean? Like with pedophile rings in Christianity and,
right.
You know, with like extremists in
the priests, yeah,
Muslim stuff. But I think like the words of the Quran, really interesting. Like some words in the Bible, some quotes really interesting. Like Buddhism, really amazing. Like, so I think they're all good. But anyway, let's not get stuck on God and talk about this. The podcast will go forever.
Right.
But yeah, so pretty much she's like only slept with a couple people. Like sex super sacred to her, like super good chick, super wholesome. And I was like, that's hot. Like there's not many like left like that. You know,
yeah,
like
you haven't had a vibe like that for a while.
Modern culture these days is like just very different. And that's all good. So anyway, we got along, started hanging out, started fucking. Sex was banging. Too good actually to be only with a few people. Should have seen that red flag.
So to clarify, when the sex is too good, it is a red flag, isn't it?
I don't know, man. Like I just
I don't just put it out sound like
I just put it down and I was just like,
I don't know.
I was like, well, she's been in a couple relationships, like, you know, maybe she learned a thing or two there and whatever. And like, you know, she's a really good girl, like with really good values and morals. So like there's an inner baddie that wants to come out. And I was like, it's kind of hot, like bad in the bedroom.
Yeah,
you know,
but she's a good religious girl.
Street,
yeah.
bad in the sheets kind of thing. And I was like, it's hot. It's hot. So we started like really seeing each other and pretty fast she was like to me, oh, like, are you sleeping with anyone else? Can we be exclusive? And I personally believe that in a relationship, the first few months should just be open.
Right.
Because I think that it builds the foundation of integrity and honesty. Because most people in today's society anyway, like they're fucking a couple of people.
Right.
Maybe 1 or 2 people. Someone's talking to someone.
Yeah.
And when you meet them, they're probably still talking to that person, keeping their options open. And if you say we're open at the start, it just gives them a ground to be honest.
Yeah.
So I just said to her, like, let's just be open so that we can just like tell each other who we're sleeping with,
right.
Be cool about it, like try and be like best friends,
yeah.
Like make the love unconditional. You know, it's like, oh, I'm only going to be with you if you do this.
And also avoiding the pressure of setting these type of boundaries too early on, which often just creates a tough position because you're still figuring out whether you want this or not, you know?
100. You're still figuring out if that person's that person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I said that and she was like, nah, like I want to, like, I'm not like that. I never do this. I never sleep with people, blah, blah, blah. Like I just want a serious like thing. And I was just like, you know what, like you're a good chick. So fuck it, let's try it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was traveling around, like I was going to a bunch of different countries still, like fully being loyal to her. And you know, one of the funnest things about going to a new country is like hanging out with someone. Yeah. And it's not for the sex, it's for the sake that when you're intimate with a girl, you get to really experience life in a different way. And you get to experience that country in a way where like, it's the conversation, it's like the way they react and act to things, and like you get an in-depth view of that country through that person. Yeah. And the conversation's amazing. So I was like, I love that. But I didn't do that because I was with her or whatever. Anyway, I opened up the conversation a few times to be like, yo, we still like blah, 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 serious. Anyway, we started getting real serious. She's like pretty much living at my house. And then I go away and I moved this chick into my house just before I go away for like shoot for a week. I was out of service. I moved this chick into my house and basically I say to the girl that I've been seeing, I just drop her name, I don't care, Tiana. I say to Tiana, I was like, hey, like, can you make sure this girl feels like homely or whatever? Because there's no one at my house and I wanted someone to water my plants and like take care of my property and stuff. So basically they get talking, whatever. She gets manipulated to thinking that like I'm this bad person that's like slept with someone else, right? So then she goes and fucks this guy in Melbourne and then like drinks heaps of alcohol, does ketamine, like which she's never done either of these, and like has this full outburst from the influence of this chick. Anyway, I come home from my week in the Whitsundays not knowing any of this has happened. And she has hit me with this message to say, don't ever talk to me again. You're not who I thought you were. Like, what the fuck, blah, blah, blah. Fuck you. Blocked. And I get off the boat, man. I'm just like, I've been in the Whitsundays, like shooting tourism out of service. I get in service. I'm like, hey, baby, how are you? Like, how's the house? How's my plants? Like, can't wait to see you. And I'm just like, and then I get that. And then so I was like, the fuck did I do? Shit. Anyway, yeah, man, it was heavy. So I get home and this housemate that I had just moved in, didn't know her for a bar, so was in my house. And I was like, you're the problem. Like, because I've been so loyal to this chick. Like, I've done everything right for this chick. Like, I'm like, this chick, the chick that moved in the house, Lois, must be the problem. So I pinned her and I'm like, what happened? Like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, I'm not a part of it, blah, blah, blah. She had this whole story, elaborate story about how she went away to Noosa with her family. She wasn't even there, blah, blah, blah. She doesn't know what happened, but she's happy to like try and figure it out with me. Anyway, I'm trying to get in contact with Tiana and I'm like, hey, like, can you just give me a conversation to tell me what I've done? Like, I deserve some clarity and closure. Like, I'm happy to move on, but just let me know what I've been doing. And she's just like, nothing. She's just like, stop. Because I like went to WhatsApp to hit her with that message to be like, hey, like, what's happened? Blocks that. Anyway, I got to the point where I was just like, fuck it. You know what? This girl is so immature. Like, you can't even like have a conversation with someone that you've been living at their house. Like, I was giving her so much love and support. Like, I made so many positive changes in her life.
And like making that decision on someone else's word is also very sort of...
Yeah, well, I didn't know what it was at this stage. Like, because I knew nothing. I just knew I got this message to say, fuck you. Anyway, a couple of weeks go by and I'm like, at this stage, I just resonated with the fact that she was immature and like a bit twisted. And I just left it there. I've become really good friends with this chick that's in my house, like my housemate. And I really trust her. She's like a really good girlfriend of mine. Anyway, I get this message one day and it's from Tiana. It's like, hey, I thought it was like right now to be really soft and open with you. I really love and cherish you, blah, blah, blah. And I just read it and I'm like, oh, now you come back. Like, you know, no, sorry. Like, but that's immature shit. So I was just like, you know what? Just leave this there. Just no communication. You don't deserve it. She sends me another message, follows me up, no reply, follows me up again, no reply, follows me up again, no reply. And then she goes, Matt, seriously, this is urgent. Like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, no. And then she goes, seriously, this is time sensitive. So I'm like, okay. She's like, if you don't talk to me, I'm just going to text you the news. And I'm like, fuck, man, is this chick giving me like an STI or some shit? Like, fuck. Like, you know, so I go and get tested. All good. And I'm like, you know what? Can't be anything. And she sends me another message and is like, she's like, seriously. And I was like, fuck, all right, whatever. So I called her. She's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like,
Jesus.
She's crying, like bawling her eyes out. I was like, fuck, man. So like me being me, which is just very like...
And now you're a dad. Like,
very supportive and like very honorable. I was like, I felt for her straight away. And I was just like, what can I do to support you through this? I didn't want to ask any questions of what the fuck happened. Why did you freak out? Why did you block me? I just said, what can I do to support you through this? And she was just like, I don't know. Like, and I was like, well, I'm here for you in any way that you need me to be here for you. Blah, blah, blah. She's like, I think I need to see you. Like, I just want to be in your arms. And I was like, okay. I was like, you can rock up to my house whenever you need. Like, I'm going to be at home. I'll take time off work, like whatever. Anyway, I run upstairs and tell this Lois chick and I'm like, yo, like Tiana's pregnant. She's like, what? No fucking way. Like, you need to like keep her at an arm's distance. Don't talk to her. Like, she's going to try and keep this to trap you into this relationship. And I was like, hold on, bitch. Like, that's a bit full on. Like, calm down. Anyway, then turns out Tiana comes over and Lois was really being weird about trying to keep Tiana away. I was like, damn, that's pretty weird. Anyway, then she comes over and Tiana comes in, gives me a big cuddle and is like crying and I hug her and then she hugs Lois and she said to Lois, I miss you so much. And I was like, oh, that's weird because Lois told me that she was away. And I was like, oh, that's weird, but whatever. I'm here to support her being pregnant. So then I was like, do you want to go upstairs? So we go upstairs to the room, whatever. I'm holding her in my arms. She's crying, like bawling her eyes out, being pregnant, whatever, into God. So she's going to keep this kid. So anyway, I end up laying there for a bit. Hectic story, eh?
Yeah.
I end up laying there for a bit and I couldn't help myself. I just said to her, like, are we going to talk about what the fuck happened? Like, and she's like, yeah, let's go. Tell me why you did everything. And I was like, no, bitch, I didn't do shit to you. I was so fucking good to you. I was like, you just lashed out of nowhere and said, fuck me. Like, I'm an asshole. I'm not who you thought I was, blah, blah, blah. I was like, explain yourself. And then she starts like saying, oh, you know, like, what did you have a person over before I came over the night before you left? And I did, but I was buying mushrooms for Lois, my housemate. So Lois like screen records me having this person over that she got me to organize to get mushrooms and then plays it back to Tiana to pretend that I like fucked this chick. So like evil bitch, man. Anyway, I start figuring out that Tiana's like lying and hiding shit. And then she starts telling me the truth and she's like, Lois told me this. Lois flew me to Melbourne. I fucked a guy with Lois. I'm like, this bitch downstairs in my house just set me up with the chick that I've been seeing for months now, living at my house. And I was like, no fucking way. I was so angry. And anyway, she goes on to tell me that Lois, the housemate, had basically made this story up that I was like a child sex trafficker and a murderer and that I was like chopping people up and putting them in the freezer and I was like fucking all these people and like just gnarly shit. And because Tiana's quite innocent and pure, she was just like, I don't know what's true, but she's showing me this voice recording of like him with another girl right before I came over. Like, it must be true. And I was just like, fuck, like what an evil piece of shit.
That's so dark.
So dark, man.
So extreme.
Anyway, so I am like calling my housemate Jules, like my best mate, and I'm like, bro, like this chick's in our house just did this, like said all this, like, man, like crazy kind of stuff. We could talk on an hour about this one specific like situation, but we won't.
Yeah.
But anyway,
What did you do?
I went downstairs to Lois and I was just like, hey, the landlord found out that you're living here and you're not allowed to be here, so you got to leave.
Wow, that's very like, dude, I would have been ape shit if someone was making these.
What's the point?
Emotional freedom.
Well, I'm really hoping she doesn't see this podcast because she doesn't know how much that I knew.
Right. You
Because-
never confronted her about this?
Nah. What's the point, bro?
Wild, bro.
She's a wild, evil manipulator. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, fair enough.
Gonna. What happens when?
Props to you for being fucking so
And also,
chill about
I didn't care about her. Like,
Yeah.
I was pissed off that she did it in my house, but
Yeah.
like, I didn't know you, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, me and Tiana got really close over that because like we came together and figured out the truth, and then we started talking about like a future and a family because, bro, she's pregnant.
Jesus Christ.
So I was like, shit, man. Like, so I start looking at like what it's going to be a dad. Obviously, I'm trying to get her to get rid of it because it's just not the right time.
Right.
She's gone and done ketamine, drunk alcohol, fucked some other dude, like all this kind of shit. Like that baby's not got the best trauma experience in her body. It's only like 6 weeks old.
Yeah.
So
that's a rough start.
So yeah, I tried to lay it out to her and I just said like, hey, look, like you're young, you're not fit to be a mother. Like, you know, I'm not fit to be a father in this situation. Like there's been a lot of trauma that it's gone through. Like it doesn't have the best grounds for success. We're brand new relationship, blah, 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 blah. But she's like, but like it would be a sin for me to kill this baby. Like I'm a woman of God kind of thing. I was like, damn, but like, you know, you fucked me before marriage. So like when do you decide what in God is the right one to follow and what's not? Because like, obviously you're not being fully extremism into God. Anyway, long story short, she's like, I'm going to have it. So I'm like, sweet. I start contemplating the fact I'm going to be a dad unwillingly. And that was really hectic. It brought us really close together. I start talking to her about like what she needs as a woman. And she kind of just said like, I want to dance. So I want a dance studio and I want to create music. So I want a music studio. So I'm like, sweet, I'll buy a farm and I'll build a like music studio for you. And I'll build like a dance place for you. And we can get all this kind of shit sorted. And I really started to explore this like next chapter. And a part of me was like liking it, but I wasn't telling her that. I was like, we need to get rid of it. But in the back, you know, as a masculine, I'm trying to be strategic. I'm trying to play, how can I fucking protect and provide and be there and be honorable? Anyway, long story short, she comes around to getting the abortion. She gets the abortion. Whew. Thank the Lord.
Woo! Yeah. we need to
Saved, man.
we need to put in here like, you are not the father.
I'm getting stressed out listening to this, man.
It's the way he tells stories, man. They're so fucking.
Jesus.
You
You
really
just wanted
live it.
someone to model for a shoot.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yes. So,
But guys, it gets better. This is just getting started.
yeah, it gets better than this, man. Stay strapped in. Strap in,
Martha, stay
ladies and
strapped in.
gentlemen.
Stay strapped in.
So, yeah, pretty much what happens then is now I'm like, cool, I'm out of the clear with like being a baby daddy, but I have this relationship with this chick that I need to sort out. So basically, I start talking to her about it and we're like, we need good foundations. We start having an amazing relationship. Like it's going super well. And then pretty much, yeah, we were like, she had like really starting to grow as a woman. Like she was waking up in the morning, not checking her phone, like going to do a meditation, like reading the Bible, which is whatever, journaling, like going, like working out, like focusing on modeling and stuff. And like, she was such an amazing person. Like I would be editing on the computer. She'd come up behind me and give me like a back massage and my friends would be there. She'd be like, are you guys hungry? Do you want to eat anything? Like she'd go and make us food and like just really feminine, nurture, soft, like what a woman's supposed to be, you know, like. And if you're a woman watching that, oh, I'd be whatever I want. Like, sure, do whatever you want. But I'm a masculine dude. So like, I like to lead and be strong and be honorable. And I like my woman to be soft and delicate. It's a polarity that matches, you know? So anyway, all was going good. And then we get to this stage where I'm like, look, our last like months of relationship has been so full on that I really need to understand like what just happened, integrate that, and then come back together and be like, okay, this is going to work for life. So I said to her, like, let's take six weeks, put it on ice. I knew I was coming to Iceland and I was like, sweet, like that'll be a couple of weeks and then I'll come home and there'll be a few more weeks where I'm at home and we'll just like keep it on ice and then we'll come back together. Anyway, so she was like, that's going to be really hard. And I'm like, yeah, but what's 6 weeks for a lifetime together kind of thing? She's like, sweet. Anyway, and then before I leave, like, a couple of days before I leave, I was like, yo, is there anything you want to tell me, like just to get everything on the clear? She's like, okay, yeah, like I did kiss that guy that I said I went on a date with when I got manipulated by Lois. And I just felt like she was lying. was like, damn, I know you're lying. But I was like, are you sure, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah. And she was like, I'm so sorry for not telling you. Like, she started crying and she's like, you know, I didn't mean to like lie. I just thought maybe like that you would hate it and blah, blah, blah. Like, made a big issue of it. And I was like, fuck, that feels so wrong. She got in the shower, her phone pings, and it's the same guy that she's just told me she's kissed. And he sent like a dirty message. And I was like, fuck. And I was like, I shouldn't look at it, but fuck it. So I quickly glanced at it and I was like, shit, but she's in the shower. So I couldn't look at it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to look at it. I'm just going to ask her. So she gets out of the shower and I pin her on it. And I'm like, what happened? Blah, blah. She's like just lying through her teeth, doesn't stop lying. And I'm like, what the hell? She's still lying. And I was like, come on, babe. Like, you know, you can be honest here. Like, you know, we can set a ground foundation on any ground. We just need honesty and we can get through whatever. Have this really big conversation. And she just keeps lying through her teeth to the point where I was just like, if you were lying right now, what kind of woman would that make you? And she's like, it would make me an evil, disgusting, manipulative, like horrible person. Like, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, how can you just say that about yourself? Like, that's cooks. And I was like, what would God think if you were lying in this situation? Like, cause I'm like, that's got to hit her. And she's just like, well, he would be abolished of me. I'm like, saying hectic stuff. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like you're lying through your teeth. Like, and I was trying to be supportive or whatever. Anyway, then she leaves and then I just hit up one of these other guys. And I ended up chatting to the dudes and man, she was getting fucking slammed by multiple men the whole time.
Oh my God.
The whole time, man. Like, and I'm not talking getting slammed, but
it's such a fucking plot twist, bro.
God first,
bro. The messages that she was sending dudes is like, I want my moans to be silenced by your hands around my throat. What the fuck? And like,
dude, and then she's masking this towards him, that telling him that she's a fucking God woman, you know. Then she's getting fucking slammed by all these other dudes and completely lying about it.
Yeah,
like,
man,
this is so wild, bro. This is wild. Like, wild.
Bro, she's living in my house. She's taking nudes in my room, sending them to dudes. Like, she's saying to me, I'm going to my best friend Brooke's house tonight, and she's going to get slammed by like some like clout dude. Like, it's like Chris Brown's dancer or something. Like, you know, he looks like a foot, to be fair. Good dude. But like, yeah, he's like, he's not the most attractive, but it's just like, you know, she's a dancer and she's like, oh my God, Chris Brown's dancer. Like, I'm going to be a little thought. And literally says shit like, I can't wait for you to fuck me. I'm going to take your whole cock. I'm all yours. He's saying stuff like, are you talking to other dudes? She's like, no, baby, I'm all yours. Man, she's sending that in my room next to me in bed.
Jesus.
Man. Yeah, man. And
That's
then,
tough.
And the thing is, like, she also, like, your friends didn't even catch this at all. She fooled everybody in your circle. This is what, how can you maintain a 6-month period where this is your image and nobody's catching any of it? Like,
this is fucking narcissist vibes.
Dude, yes, it is. That's what I said to him when I heard this the first time. Like, this is one of the most wild stories ever.
I'll play a voice recording if you want from one of the other guys. Like, because he was just as shocked as me. He's like, bro, like, I didn't know you guys were together. Like, this is crazy. And then he's like, man, she is for the streets, bro.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
dude, just to think that you were like almost investing everything into this person who's completely betraying
you.
You
You're going to build a fucking farm with
a dance studio. A dance studio.
Holy shit.
Dude, and think about this. I'm having a visceral reaction to this, bro.
This is what you get for being a good man.
Yes,
bro.
exactly. Because like his intentions are so pure, you know. But fuck, like, and the thing is, like, I also got kind of mad because Matt is like one of the more intelligent people that I've ever met, right? Yeah. How did you not catch this? You know, how good of a fucking actor is this person to fool you and your friends? Your friends are also smart people.
A grade, man.
Dude, that scares the living shit out of me. That's scary. That's so scary that some person can fool everybody for such a long time.
Crazy.
And then she's getting railed by Chris Brown's dancer.
Oh, bro, not only him, multiple dudes, bro. Multiple dudes. Oh, and when I got the messages from these guys, like, because I was linking them up, like, I'm reading my messages. When she's getting slammed, she's messaging me in the morning like, I thought about your cuddles all night, baby. I miss you so much. Like, I dreamt about you. I can't wait to be back in your arms. We'll drive back and then come back to me where I'm like being lovely, wholesome dude supporting her, like just copping that too. She's like, man, having her cake and eating it.
Sociopathic, man.
Like
Sociopathic.
crazy. Like to the point where on her birthday, I like gave her an amazing day. Like we did this mad like day spa thing and like I treated her like a queen. And like, I remember she was like to me, oh, I just need to go to the toilet. She went to the toilet like 4 times. And I linked it back one of these other guys, like, yeah, on her birthday, she'd send me like videos in the toilet of a day spa, like dildo whacking herself. She said that like no one was treating her for her birthday, so I sent her some cash. Like, man, like, anyway, to the point where now I look back at it and I'm like, I paid for her abortion. I emotionally supported her. We had to do a bloody ritual around this. Man, that probably wasn't even my kid, man. Damn. Yeah.
Dude, all this religious
stuff. It's probably one of the 10, man.
All that religious stuff was just bullshit. That was just her creating this character, fictional character.
Man, it's crazy. Anyway, the worst part about it, I figure it all out and I say to her, like, I want to have a conversation. And I was going to have the conversation with love and I was going to be like, look, what you did could destroy a man's life. I get it. You're young. You want to like be part of this clique. Like you want to explore your sexuality, but you just need to do with that with honesty and integrity. Because like you do this to a different guy, you're going to get like a real bad situation. Like most guys wouldn't be able to cop that and just be like, sweet, I want the best for her, you know?
That would
but
break.
I was willing to just like have that convo with her and just be like, look, like you are beautiful. And the person that you show to me, like the fake person that I get to see, that best version of you, that girl needs to thrive. But this other girl who's, you know, she doesn't have a dad, like there's things that can make that, and that's a big story. But like that other girl, that dark shadow, like little like vape craven little thing, like dopamine, I need validation, like that thing needs to be crushed. And it will only be crushed if you face it head on. But she wouldn't face it, man. So,
dude, you're being too nice. You're describing this too nice.
She's like, I've said this all to her, like, hey, I'm going to have this conversation with you with love, but you need to face it. She's like, no, Matt, we should just leave it. I don't want to talk to you. I'm so broken. I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, she doesn't know that I know everything. I'm like, you need to know that I know everything.
Yeah.
So she just blocks me. And so I send her a text off one of my other friends' phone. I was like, hey, if you're not going to face this head on, I'm going to send this to your family.
Oh shit.
Because you need to cop this and just be a better person. Like, and I only want the best for you, but you need to face the truth of this situation. Cause like, you know, I know when I was really young and lying a bunch, like when someone pulled me up and the whole world just seen me with lights on, you make a change pretty fast.
Yeah.
You don't keep doing that.
Exactly.
So I was like, she needs that anyway. So I sent it to her sister, a bunch of these screenshots of the messages that she was sending to these other guys. Like, you know, there's even a photo of like her sucking one of these guys' dicks from behind. Like you couldn't see any nudity, you couldn't see her titties, you couldn't see her ass, couldn't see anything. Added that in there, added messages from like one of the other guys, Owen, and then added my messages so she could link the dates up to see like what she was saying to me, like, I love you so much, blah, blah. Bang, next phone calls from the police. Domestic violence.
Oh my
what
God.
the fuck?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because I threatened to send pornographic videos of her to the public. So the police call me like, are you going to put this on the internet? I'm like, mate, I would never. It's just, am I seriously an offender right now? Anyway, it goes on for a big process. I end up telling the cop everything, showing him screenshots, and he's like, okay, we're going to drop this case. But because she opened the case and said that you threatened to like put these images elsewhere, you're the offender and she's the victim. I'm like, mate, that is a waste of taxpayers' money. Like, I pay taxes, and the fact that I'm paying for this when you should be fighting dudes and punching chicks is absolutely retarded.
Yeah.
Like, that is not on, man. I was like, you should be getting back to some job and some serious work. Like, this is actually disgusting use of money, and like, I want to speak to a lawyer. Yeah. Like, because for the sake of men, on behalf of all men, like, the fact that a woman can just open her mouth and just be like, he's going to post nudes of me on the internet or whatever, and automatically the guy's an offender. And he's like, the cop's like, mate, he's like, there's no case. It's going nowhere. It's just going to be a record that died. I'm like, yeah, but on that record that died, I'm still an offender and she's the victim. That's not on. He's like, no one's going to see it. Like, it's just on a police record.
And that can ruin a life.
Yeah, that can have a drastic effect.
Yeah. So anyway, That was that, man.
That was his last 6 months. Like, that was his last 6 months.
Dude, we just asked like your situation, like what's going on.
Yeah, it was like 15 minutes ago. So what's your love like?
Matt always does. This is the big reason why I wanted to have him on the podcast. He has these life experiences, and the way he tells these stories is just so fucking involving. And I'm really glad that you came here. Thank you so much, Matt, for sharing all these stories.
Thank you
I think this is a record time for our podcast. I hope our listeners enjoyed all this. Thank you so much, Matt, for coming on and sharing these stories. I'm glad you opened up about these things. I think we're probably gonna have to bleep a lot of stuff, or maybe even edit it, because like this is some deep personal stuff involving other people, and like we want to.
Nah, we're good.
Now we want to make sure everything is okay. But yeah, thank you so much, Matt, for coming on. This was an absolute pleasure. Till
next time.
Yeah.
We'll just keep creating memories together off the potty.
Yeah. I'm excited to do that. That's great. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody listening. Takk fyrir að hlusta, guys. Vonandi þetta var aðeins öðruvísi podcast í þetta skipti. Já, bara gaman að hafa ykkur. Takk fyrir að hlusta.